大家好，我係1號，歡迎翻到今次嘅直播。我都好耐冇直播啦，3個月冇直播啦。今日繼續嚟睇呢個都係 algs 嘅呢個決賽，咁就暫時要講邊隊最有勝算呢？咁就一定係由阿 Hell 轉咗去同阿 Zero 同埋 Jabber 一隊嘅呢個。Flatcon 啊，係咪咁讀啊？我唔好識讀啊，嗰隊。然後今季都有少少轉隊嘅 XD， 我好耐冇直播啦，真係我唔係好知要講咩啦，係啦。咁跟住都有 Timmy 嘅呢個轉會啦，都見到轉咗 Mose 嘅同呢個以前嘅 NRG 嘅 Builder 街仔嘅一隊啦，都係個 controller。咁今次我前排睇下精華嘅都打到唔錯表現出嚟，佢哋都。嚟睇下先 Fire 八弟又之前嚟咗隊啦，今次又揾咗波靈啦去做替補嘅，如果我冇記錯嘅話。跟住係揾咗波靈同埋艾希對阿希對我就唔清楚係邊個，但係呢兩個咧就應該係新嘅呢個 DF 嘅人選。之後其他隊就基本上冇乜特別㗎啦，好啦。Yuki 翻嚟 Allen 咩？點解見到個名嘅突然間？係咪我幻覺啊？跟住其他隊都冇 Fnatic 就轉咗人啦，我印象中係已經上個賽季。聲音好細，我教啊！我支咪最近壞壞地嘅，所以我要教先得。我喺 OBS 嗰度教，就咁樣啦，應該聽得清楚啲嘅咁樣就。聽唔聽到啊？而家聽到嘅。咁個 TSM 就阿 Hell 轉咗，又轉咗阿 Sip 入嚟啦。Sip 就係以前嘅呢個 DSG 嘅隊員，我冇記錯嘅話。然後跟住佢轉咗入嚟之後，又經過一次磨合之後，佢依家係 TSM 嘅呢個主 call 啦打。我記得 CR 同埋邊隊啊 ？CR 同埋有一隊 KN 啊，係嘛？唔係 KN。CR 同一隊嘅人有交換咗人嘅，但唔知係邊隊？第一次係冠軍，基本上你見到嘅都係冇咩點變化嘅。其實有好多隊都唔好記得啲人，我都已經。第一次入決賽嘅都有好多唔同嘅都，係啦，冇理咁多，睇下先算。係咪冇聲啊 YouTube？ 我搞先。都應該有啦。
Now that we have our trophy, time to bring out our team, starting with their unstoppable. It's the boys.
對。
Look at dominant. It's Varia.
呢啲出場太嘥時間啦，我覺得。繼續叫隊廿隊入嚟，你慢慢去睇。而家第4隊左右，我估。SSG 唔係英中加力士喎，我前晚先發現，都要可以上一個賽季先知。哇！冇咩人歡呼啊，好慘啊佢哋。 全部都係阿 Hell 啊 Team 嘅 fans。
Blood, sweat, and tears.
Play 隊今季賽季都有留意到嘅，好似都打得唔錯，一隊今季。
One squad, 3
係啊。
world champions. It's Team Falcons.
Falcon
Breaking into the finals. Enter Force 36.
我預佢哋可能搞慢慢，可能搭3先開波。
Giving everything they got. BK Gaming.
BK Gaming 好似係中國隊啊，印象中係。係咯。
2023 World Champions TSM.
可能對 TSM fans 我都係，可能 Fairhouse 同埋
From the land
啊
down under.
阿 Ref。
Build Esports.
我喺呢度就唔係好聽到佢哋嗰啲
They're on
呼
top
呼
of
聲嘅，
the
老實講。
world. It's Cloud9. They're the Trojans. Knocked them. Scan.
啊，係冇教練㗎佢哋。
Let's see what they're cooking. It's Complexity.
佢幾興奮喎呢隊。
Fire in their hearts. It's Dream Fire.
冚晒歡呼聲，冇乜 feel 其實就。
Powerhouse Fnatic. The loudest fans in the arena. EXO Clan.
佢積分表有冇？
Team Liquid.
一睇先。
A team who knows how to win a land. It's Alliance. Representing the Apex South, Makers. "60 players, 20 teams, but only one trophy. The crowd
未有喎，好
makes
似
the noise because
分
this
表點樣揾嘅？
is the ALGS. Rain Day, take it away.
Absolutely electric. Welcome into
Let's
the
go.
SAP Arena for those watching at home and those in the stands. You can tell the energy is palpable. It feels like something big is going to happen today. What will happen? That's what we're about to find out. My name is Rain Day. I am so glad to be here. It's our Split 2 playoffs, match point finals. I'll be your host alongside our wonderful talent, Glitter Explosion, Jet Set Jamerson, really Jamerson now, and Snipe Down, the man himself, getting Eric Rona chats from the crowd earlier on. Lauren, there's nothing like a match point finals, but today feels like something unique could happen. We could see a new winner and maybe a change in ALGS history.
It is one of the most competitive top halves of our lobby I think we've ever seen across the board. More teams are in the running than ever to claim that title, that trophy. I'm not even playing and I get nervous every single time we get to Sunday.
There's something different about it, Jamerson, isn't it? The crowd is filled up. This place, players have to be feeling that too.
Yeah, if they're not feeling it, I definitely am. It's such
You
an
got enough
exciting
problems.
moment because honestly, I was there for the introduction of match point format when we were here. Well,
Yeah.
in EU almost 4 years ago in Poland for the preseason invitational. And since then, it has been getting rougher and rougher. Teams are just battling it out, and the competition is all the way up here. Now, I am so excited to see who ends up on top of the day.
Could be a long day, Snipe. Feels like I said something's in the air. But you, as a pro, you've been in these situations before. You got to get ready to go and just handle your business.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we have all been waiting for. These players are hyped. You know, they take the group stages to go to the brackets, and now we're here in the grand finals, so this is where it's time to see what champions are made of. We have some teams who are familiar with this, and we have some who are here for the first time, so it's really time to see what they can do on this big stage.
Well, so many teams to point out, and as we're watching at home, whether you're watching through any type of facet of our channels, whether it's Twitch or YouTube, there's a lot of stories to cover. And let's start to switch into those stories and give you an overview of who is competing today, who's earned their way through these last 3 grueling days of Apex Legends. Long days, early mornings, late nights for everyone. It's incredible when you can see that just 20 teams remain. Here they are. You know, SSG, Lauren, the potential, we saw them walk out. Focus, Zainu, and Phony coming in with Koiful. They seem like they're ready to go, though people may not be putting them first. They're a team that certainly threatens a win.
I think we didn't put them first during the previous portion of the competition, and we saw exactly what happened when we did that. They rose to the occasion and proved a lot of people wrong. I know that Snipe's been kind of trying to preach that they are absolutely a squad in contention that could be up there at the top. But this is not going to be an easy lobby to do that. And when you're doing that up against the likes of the Alliances, the Furias, the TSMs, the Not Moist, it is stacked.
Well, let's take a look at what they're playing for as well. All those teams we could mention, and we will mention them in just a little bit. $1 million on the line this evening in Mannheim, Germany. And that is a lot of money, Jamerson. $300,000 to first place. You know, life-changing, impactful finances.
While the prize is great, $1 million, I think right now with the amount of talent that we have here, with how rough the competition has been, that it's more than anything else for all of our competitors. They want to win. They want to be the champions of the Split 2 playoffs. I think that's what matters most to them.
You know, I think you're right. There's a lot more at stake than just the money, though. These players, and you look at it from home, of course the money is a big deal. But at this point, there's so much history. People are fighting for supremacy in so many different ways. I think a lot of players would reduce their prize pool to hoist that trophy and finally say, I am a champion in Apex Legends. Let's start going, Lauren, into some of those teams we want to focus on. I know you've been preparing, and the big thing for me is North America is a team is kind of a region that you've got to focus on if you're coming into Apex and saying, who are some favorites?
There are truly too many teams coming in from NA to list them all. But we have to talk about our 2 top dogs that we were talking about coming into this event. Everyone has their eyes on Not Moist and Team Falcons. I mean, we'll be starting with Not Moist, but their performance here at this LAN alone has made them terrifying, to say the least, okay? Now, they've got their drops. No one's going after them. There's nothing for them to worry about. And when we're talking about individuals, Waltzy at the top with our kill leaderboard, as well at the top of our damage leaderboard. Right behind him, Guild. Waltzy has 59, Guild has 56. They're both up there in the damage. Then you go down to Timmy, and regardless of the fact that he's on Crypto, still in the top 12 at 43 kills out of literally everyone that's played, and that's including every single series of matches as well, which means they technically have some matches less than some of our other individual players. I mean, the fact that they are where they are at right now in such a confident fashion, I mean, they're making it look easy, and they've done that in some of our most difficult lobbies. They are proving time and time again why they deserve to be the powerhouse that we're all considering them to be. Not to mention you've got Waltzy leading. We even heard in the interview just how good he feels like he's gotten at IGLing now that they've really nailed down their entire strategy. I mean, there is nothing bad really to say about Not Moist.
Honestly, I did have some doubts going into this. There's a reason why I didn't pick them, you know, for predictions when it came into the group stages. I still want to see how they would be tested when it came to LAN, and honestly, they more than withstood that test. They more than withstood the fire there. And if you're going to talk about any other team that might be able to contest against them, we do have to bring up, well, the big old bird in the room, and it's Team Falcons.
Right. I mean, obviously, everyone they've got a massive fan base, right? A team that is no stranger to match point format. Arguably the match point professionals, if we would call them that here. They are now the super team. We've been hyping them up for such a long time, and now they might have had a little bit of a slower start than what people would have expected out of them, but this is something that they do. They thrive under pressure. We've seen them even in individual series, Eric, do nothing in the first 3 and then blow people out of the water in the last 3 and have better scores than anyone would have had in 6.
We've absolutely seen that out of Falcons, but I think this is the first time that we've seen them a little bit uncomfortable. This team is usually on characters that are very aggressive. They're slaying out the lobbies, and they're putting up those big kill games, and they really haven't been able to establish that kind of dominance throughout the group stages and even in the winners bracket finals. So it's really going to be one of those, did they find those characters to be comfortable on? Hal's on something like Newcastle, Jem Burton's on a crypto, and it just feels like this meta is something that they haven't adjusted to as fast as we might have expected.
Well, you're saying that they might be a little bit uncomfortable. We had a tweet from Hal, okay, and I want to pull this up because he is pointing out that he is now the only player in Apex history to make every single LAN finals from the beginning, which he's right. That is a pretty insane achievement. He has been here from the very start of this competitive entity that is Apex Legends Esports. But to counteract that, Waltzy has literally never dropped down into an elimination bracket for any LAN he's ever attended and has always made it to grand finals.
We saw that caveat at the instance at the beginning. I don't think it's a caveat. I think it just says, I've been here doing this, and I'm still at my prime. He's going for the LeBron James style of Apex career. Certainly has a chance to add one more notch to the belt with a win here with Falcons. But Jamerson, APAC North, this is a region, and if you're a fan of this region, it makes sense, that's always got something that they bring to the table that is impactful. Top 5s, top 3s, no stranger to them. Can they push themselves, though, past that and finally get a trophy today?
Yeah, it definitely looked a little bit rough for APAC North. We are left with 2 representatives now. It's going to be Fnatic and Enter Force 36. And our huge favorites coming from that region, coming from APAC North, was going to be Fnatic. They ended up being 3rd place when we were in our Split 1 playoffs in Los Angeles, but here they struggled in the group stages. It wasn't the greatest of performances. They were kind of in the middle of the pack, but once we hit that winner's bracket, we were not expecting them to go down so quickly there into the lower elimination round number 2. It did come down to a big risk they took. They wanted to try and contest Alliance there on Stormpoint to the detriment of both teams, but moving into our finals day, our match point finals, they decided to play a lot more safer. We're not taking the same kind of risk, and they're going to be able to play a little bit more of their game. They were extremely dominant throughout their split 2. They had some of their best performances over and over again. They were so consecutive in their performance, and now we want to see if they have what it takes to bring it home for us. But, of course, speaking of our other representatives from APAC North, we've also got Enter Force 36, and of course a special place in my heart because I do hail, my family does at the very least, from Korea, and I love that we still have Korean representatives here, especially with Reject Winity, that old roster from Split 1 playoffs, not making it here. The champions from Split 1.
That's right. What a moment to have that for APAC North, and then to feel like it kind of crumbled midway throughout the split. This is a chance at redemption.
Yeah, and it's a massive one because honestly, we were expecting so many big things, right? It was a huge shakeup in terms of overall results when it came to LAN. It was our first time that, well, we got an APAC North team getting a win there on LAN. Reject Winity did it in great fashion, and then when it came to Split 2, they kind of just disappeared. The meta got away from them, and then now, before we got here, a huge meta shift came in itself. And Enter Force 36, it looks like they have found great adjustments for it, but right now they are a little bit in the middle of the pack. We saw some great aggression out of them when it came to our winners bracket final, and I want to see that kind of same fire coming out from them.
Somebody's got to steal this. I always say that about match point. It is not given. You have to take it. That is how it goes in Apex. And if you come in with that mentality, especially if APAC North come in with that mentality, they should be okay. All right, let's talk a little bit about some of the regions. Speaking of APAC, APAC South that have some representatives. Again, not too many, but 2 teams that we've got to highlight as well. That's VK Gaming coming in, and I think this is a squad that has a little bit of potential. When you consider that they have landed themselves in winners coming into this, it is a great showcase for them. Now, APAC South has kind of had the traditional worry of you know, losing all of their best teams to North America. I mean, we've seen it with Dark Zero. We've seen, I mean, it's not a lie there. We've seen it with Dark Zero. We've obviously seen it with Not Moist as well. But VK Gaming has an opportunity to do something, landing in winners. Third place, that was phenomenal from them. But when you look at a team that maybe is catching a lot of people's eyes, oh, there it is. Okay. Somebody tell me what that means.
Means the lobby's easy.
Let me just pull up my Translate app. Nope, it's not picking it up. I have no idea.
Yeah, I know. Get your Google Translate out as well. VK, so excited to be here. You could tell they're cool, calm, and collected. And I think coming third in Pro League and having an opportunity for them to play, it's been a good showcase. They're running that crypto, the Newcastle and the Watson, and this is the type of you know, more consistent composition that we've seen across this meta. Teams who were struggling are teams that were thriving in that Bloodhound Bangalore meta, and teams that maybe weren't getting seen there weren't comfortable with the aggression. But now we've got a lot of players who are feeling like this suits me, and you can see playing nearly most of the controller type legends, Crypto, and then obviously Watson adding in the Newcastle for support. It is going to give them a big boon by playing zone and doing what they do best. So coming into winners, that's awesome. But when you talk about a team that maybe has your eye a little bit more, it's Guild. To me, Guild, guys, that's a squad that we have to talk about. MT comes to mind as the story, right? Going away as the IGL from Not Moist, taking a break, and now joining Guild and qualifying here through Elimination Bracket 2. It makes you wonder why Not Moist is doing so well. Well, don't wonder anymore. MT was IGLing. Waltzy learned from him. Waltzy's now got that skill of IGLing. MT just bringing it to another team. Guild has looked a pretty dominant force, but coming in 6th, you would have thought, you know, out of Pro League, maybe this isn't the team that we should expect from. But 3 weeks later, they go to EWC, they place 9th in that tournament with a pretty massive prize pool. That gets their engines revving. They come into this now with the ability, in my eyes, to capitalize on that and push it even further. If Guild were to win, this would be the beginning of the MT story in a massive way, a star in the making. And APAC South certainly has, while it may not be too many teams, a lot of bright hopes with the two that we're talking about there. Now, Eric, we say this one for last because we are in this region. It's the first time in 5 years we've been to this mainland Europe region. It's, of course, EMEA, and there are teams who can do it.
Yeah, and this crowd has absolutely been letting us know how important it is for their region. It would be amazing to see a European team come out and win a tournament. And I'm going to have the luck to talk about this Alliance roster. There is so much. This team has been all over the place this tournament. It's been non-stop when it comes to their ups and downs. They start off group stages really strong, then they have a struggle, then they do strong, and then they struggle. So for them, it needs to be known that they are coming off a very recent tournament win. But at the same time, this is not the same roster that we're used to seeing. We have Tyler FBS, who is taking the place of Effect, who is unable to make it. For anyone at home who wasn't aware of that, and they have still been able to put up the points, make their way back into this grand finals. And we get to look at this team right here. They're hyped. Hakus is a great IGL. This man has such a lucrative background. I was talking to him backstage, and man, are they confident. They were able to go from a second. They were able to go from the losers bracket, or the winners bracket finals, where they got 2 points. They ended up in 20th place to go right into the elimination finals to make it to the grand finals, where they're able to get top 4. They looked great, and a big reason for this is their POI drafts. So one thing that's been interesting is they've been favoring the Trident pick on Stormpoint, and a lot of times, if you get that, you scare off teams from taking Northpad. And for them, when they did have that unlucky elimination bracket, or losers bracket, they had Fnatic right next to them. So they were unable to get those rotations that they wanted, and now they get Northpad and Trident together, and as well as they get Overlook and no one's in the East Fragment side. So they're going to have very favorable rotations, as well as being able to pick up all those Evo shields along the way. The next team that we get to talk about is Gaming Gladiators. This team has, if you're not familiar with them, you're going to be now, because I wasn't, and there's no way. This team is absolutely undeniable at this tournament. When you talk about success of these teams, this team has been by far the second most consistent team outside of Not Moist throughout the event. In the group stages, they got a 2nd place, a 3rd place, and a 4th place, which is great confidence going into this grand finals, as well as a 4th place in the winners bracket finals to bring them here. So when you have that type of success, you get to pick the POIs that you want, as well as we've had some amazing pieces by Blast. We got to see how important it is to have his family here. We know that gave him some extra confidence leading into this. We heard it in the past. And with them in this crowd to support them, we've seen with the likes of, you know, the Verhulst family, and we've seen the Jem Burton family, and all these people that have come to support, you know, just their family members in general. And I'm excited to see this team, and it would be incredible to watch them come out. And I think that they do have a very good chance to take the tournament win.
I love the idea about family, the stories that we get to tell. You know, we do usually talk about the Verhulst fam, which is here chanting right next to our desk as well. And you know, Verhulst's parents here. It's just a great thing to look at and see as these stories become. We get more opportunities, I'll say, to tell them. It's not like they're becoming anything new. We're just shining a light on them in a bit of a different way. Now, we do have something else going on. If you haven't been following us over these last few days, we've been fighting. All of us on the desk, we've been battling. That's right, to become first in the ultimate game. No, not the playoffs, the talent predictions. That's right. We are trying to win. It's cutthroat in there. You can cut the tension with a knife in the green room. I've guaranteed a win over Dia. I don't know how else I'm doing beyond that. But all of these picks. Okay, let's round off the picks that we're thinking. Gaming Gladiators, what a great choice. I mean, it makes a lot of sense why you're choosing them.
Honestly, they helped me out last time I picked them.
Yeah.
And right now I'm only 4 points behind Genome at the top with him. And I couldn't pick the same team that he did, so I had to do a little bit something different. And who better than a squad that's been so wildly consistent here all weekend long?
Speaking of consistency, Jamerson, you know, what are you trying to do? Just trying to beat Reddit here?
I mean, well, the thing is, I'm a competitive man myself, right? So we do have Genome on there with a 502 rocking the Moist as well, but I am sold. It took me a little while. I needed to see what they've got, right? Especially when it came to the winner's bracket. That was what confirmed it for me. Group stages, anything goes. But when there is so much on the line, when you don't want to get knocked down into losers, teams start playing differently. And Moist, they weren't fussed whatsoever. They didn't change anything about the way they played. They kept playing their own game. They were fragging out in one of the hardest lobbies in Apex Legends and made it look easy. So the choice was easy.
The choice was easy. Not Moist is clear a favorite, not just for us and in the talent room and you probably at home or on Reddit, but in the stands. There's an incredible amount of Moist jerseys in this building right now. Gaming Gladiators, speaking of them, just Lufka, Light, and Blast, a great trio. They kind of did pop out of, you know, quotation marks, nowhere, but not really. It's more like they're making their presence known against everyone now in the biggest stage, in the biggest moment, on the biggest stage in the world for Apex Legends. And I think that this team really does have what it takes from a personality to also do it. And I think you kind of can say that with Alliance too. Their personalities really mesh. Doesn't seem like there's a lot of you know, dissension between them.
No, and when you have that type of synergy and you've figured out how your trio works well together, you can then do things that are even more difficult like alliances and then still bring that synergy, that cohesion, that teamwork when you have to do something like use the sub. And we've seen that they've been able to find success with Tyler, who's been a huge help for them here at this LAN. You're talking about Game of Gladiators as well. I mean, talk about a turnaround for them from limit to where they are now.
Love that story. Alliance playing with the sub. Effect, who they won 3 weeks ago with, not here. They have made it to winners. What a story that would be if they can pull off the win. SSG, Koiful, on your screen. Snipe, has your opinion changed since day one when we talked about them?
Yeah, I got to talk about them at the start of this weekend on Thursday, and I get to start today talking about them again. I think that this team has all the pieces that they possibly need to win tournaments. They really had a lackluster group stages. I picked them to win actually in a couple different group stages, and it all comes down to how quickly they can gain momentum. This team is one of those where I really do feel like the leadership, it comes to getting the team together. If you have those couple bad games, who's going to be there to pick up the pieces? And I think a lot of that, I've talked to a couple people, it comes down to Don, their coach. He's someone who's dealt with a player like Nasky, who is also very verbal, and he's gone through a lot. You've seen a lot of Nasky's blow-ups and stuff, and I know he's a great person to have behind them. I've actually spent a lot of time talking to Phony this weekend, and he's said just how valuable Don has been. But I still think at the end of the day, you have a couple, 2, 3 bad games in a row, it's going to be tough to get that group together. But if they gain the momentum and start steamrolling, they could end up with the most points.
The big question is who will win today. And not just win after they get 50 points. It doesn't count unless you do it past the threshold. In fact, it doesn't count unless you do it before anybody else. That's the name of the game. It's match point. We win or we go again. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen, in the SAP arena, in Mannheim, watching around the world as well, it is time to begin our match point finals on this Sunday. So crowd, let us know you're alive and well. Make some noise for the moment we've been waiting for, and let's send it over to our casters to get it started.
Thank you so much, Rain Day. It is finally time for the ALGS Split 2 Playoffs Match Point Finals in a sold-out arena. SAP Arena, make some noise! Goosebumps. I always get goosebumps, Gino. I always get goosebumps.
The
There is no
Thundersticks
better fan experience than
going
the competitive Apex Legends community.
Crowd's going crazy right now, and I love it because I think that is about to match the quality of the games that we're gonna get. Some crazy games coming up here. Of course, this is a match point finals. We're at day 4 of the LAN. That means the teams need to reach 50 points first, and after that, if they can achieve victory in a game, that is the team that lifts the trophy.
You have to win the game after hitting those 50 points. And something to note, for the first time ever than what we're used to, there is no advanced starting point. You could expect these games to go the distance. Let's get started, everyone. Game number 1 onto World's Edge to kick off the action.
Of course, you can see on your screen here the POI draft. This is the first ALGS LAN that we have seen with this system in place. As you said, instead of starting off with advanced standing points, they pick their POIs, and we drop in for the first game on World's Edge.
The ships have left the building. In this case, they've left World's Edge, and they've left our teams at their POI. And already with Skyhook, when we know where Bleed lands, Sky East, Gaming Gladiators by Trials and Sky West. It can get heated maybe very early because you know that the game state for a lot of these teams, what they understand is that they want to achieve those 50 points first as quickly as possible, even if it means duking it out from the very beginning.
Alliance is the team on this stage most recently to lift a trophy at LAN. It's been a harder route to the finals than it was previously for them. They've got Tyler here in place, trying to fill very big shoes with Effect watching on, and unfortunately for them, they're going to be shifting very far over, Vicky. The zone has gone very much to the west, over to Mirage Atois.
Could benefit into the way that they like to play these zones, though, liking to take their time, playing by the edge here as they make their move from Overlook. They even have a survey over by No Name. The Alliance having to have that hot and cold experience within in-game, but being in this finals lobby, really feeling that pressure, Gino.
Well, Complexity starting off from staging with the ring console. They're moving in quickly, and as you can see on your map here, TSM have been afforded a boon in this finals. Yes. They get both Lava Fissure and Mirage Atois. No one picked Mirage, and that means they can actually loot both POIs. His teammates do come down and join him, so luckily it looks like Complexity won't be getting a first pick early there onto TSM. That would have been disastrous considering the zone is right on top of their heads.
And we know that with a zone like this too, Furia as well could come out on top of that choke north of Thermal where there's an Evil Harvester on their pathing. But we have early action here for Guild and VK Gaming over by Survey Camp, which could also be a very easy third-party situation for Not Moist.
Yeah, Epicenter Survey Camp teams running into each other early. Not something that we will be surprised about, but hopefully they don't get surprised by Not Moist coming back through Climatizer. As you said, they want to get this fight over and done with quickly if they are actually going to engage here, because Moist have showed you that anything in their path is fresh meat for the team.
Meanwhile, Complexity in your feed immediately has eliminated Space Station, the first to go in our first game lobby here as MT backs away, tries to take a different position for Guild, but this is the action that I was expecting from the very beginning for our teams to start things off very quickly to get that early game KP.
Oh, and it's a charge rifle shot from VKG. And Guild lose a member so quickly as Moist pull up on them, actually closing the net around VKG.
And it was Waltz who had picked up that first kill here too.
Oh,
Now he
wow.
slides in.
Waltz,
Waltz, who has just been playing out of his mind, gets another kill. This is the player that we were highlighting earlier, who has just been so on another level, honestly, with the way that he's been able to stay not only consistently in these fights, getting KP, but also clearing space for his squad when he gets those knocks.
And if there was anything else you needed, you know, just a nice little confidence booster at the start of the game, something to get you rolling.
喺度唔制啊，係我有都。
That'll do it for Moist. Chasing... no, will they chase the last member of VK Gaming down? I mean, the zone is very far away from them right now. They're absolutely not getting priority, so if they wanted to, honestly, they've got the time.
It would work into their game plan, though, with the way that they like to take these fights, slowly going into that next zone. As we know, so many other teams have already found themselves over by the staging side.
So Falcons setting up in the Dorito outside of staging right now. They are dropping from Siphon here as they try and catch someone off guard. Cloud9, wow. An early exit for them. They've really gone under the radar so far in this tournament.
Thanks to E36 getting that, while now Cal up on the high ground. Try and make a statement here with the rest of Team Falcons. Can they be able to get this with Furia being on the low ground? And even in between the mother load here, they're stuck behind the Newcastle wall. Great news for Furia as they are out of the line of sight from Falcons, but Falcons having that information while keeping up the pressure from the height are making sure that they force Furia to stay pinched down here because Makers are also walking around the other side of staging to the southeast.
Furia thanking the devs there for the new ability of Newcastle's wall to stop the grenades coming in. That you could see them bunkered down behind that. Without that, honestly, I think Falcons would have quite easily finished them off.
I love it. Gonna be able to see the Fuse heirloom here too while he slides down. Nice animation while House taking just a little bit of damage. It is Exo Clan that have the height alongside with Falcons who had slid down, giving up that space, have found themselves by the truck and all the death boxes at their feet. But they've been seen by a crypto drone that is also flying and buzzing around their heads. They're trying to look out for it because E36 are in that building to the south of Exo. Exo have the best spot when it comes to this choke. That was the choke that I was mentioning. But even with an early rotate, it could be a little risky because you could expect teams to still prioritize a northern thermal station rotate.
Yeah, this rock is just fantastic, though. Holding the high ground here, you really can just smash these teams in both the village below you, even if they get a spot up on Mirage Etoile. You've got great sight lines and you can retreat whenever you need. The risk is that someone can come in behind you from thermal station. VK Gaming, we see that they get a double respawn. That's happening over near Stacks and Big Maud.
Very far away here, but at least they get the squad up while Exo have Pride Rock.
I mean, still a chance that they run into Not Moist again once they come out of the zone because they're still lurking.
That's true. Again, Not Moist taking their time to rotate. They will be going perhaps through tunnel side that would enter into landslide here, and teams like Dreamfire and Fnatic also fighting from the south side outside of zone, south of thermal station. As you can see, Dreamfire 3MZ in the drone, just trying to get vision here. And now with the EMP ringing out, Dreamfire could try to engage, it could try to AP. You have to watch out with the nades, creating some space.
Okay, Pete walks the mobile shield forward, knows it's about to go down to the EMP and has to back off with the bang ult chasing them out here. Can they find a safe spot?
By the way, I hit the world's complete stats for this event has been insane. Actually crazy. He's been such a heavy fragger, always knowing when he has to be the entry fragger for his squad, considering he's on that Pathfinder, he can grapple in, he can grapple out, backing away, repositioning instead, and he has the golden Mozams.
You wouldn't have thought anyone could come in and fill Roy's shoes, just such a superstar of the Chinese region. But I Hate the World, or No Name as he's being called as well, has absolutely done that, and then maybe some. Could this be Dreamfire's best tournament ever?
See now with Falcons, full blue Evo still dropping down as the Fnatic and Dreamfire fight has not ceased. Pete also has that gold shock and choke. Only white extended energy mag for the Havoc. You saw him proc up the reload, tries to see the EMP, tries to shoot it, misses the second shot though. They get hit, and they don't have a lot of space to back away or to be able to pop a shield back.
I mean, 60 damage was all you needed. The second shot would have stopped them from getting EMP'd. And now with the full send from Fnatic coming in.
Oh no, but then the Thermite too. They had gotten the first knock. Fnatic with the advantage in this fight. Sasuke then follows up, and Dreamfire get eliminated at the hands of Fnatic. Nice and methodical here in taking that fight. Not trying to be too overly aggressive. As you can see, both teams waiting with the EMP to then fully engage. And if they don't have that opening, if there's no defensive to meet them on the other side, they don't want to fully commit until they're able to get that shot crack and fight a
Yeah, in those crypto v crypto fights, you can see if you can get into position to swing just after the EMP hits, the team is as good as dead. And as the back and forth happened there, we saw that Fnatic found that opening, found that timing, and, well, that's goodbye for Dreamfire for match 1.
Now, hello to Alliance, finding the crack. Beautiful hemlock shots that we currently see from Tyler. Let's jump into a listening with Alliance as they engage on this fight.
Bang on. Bang one. Yeah, can't see. Bang is only one shot.
Okay.
Above you, next to me. Okay,
應該咁樣先。
In the wall. Tyler, go right. Swing. Look out. One. Both one. Otherwise, what should do? I didn't know you went for the wall.
And with the nades finding two, Bleed wrap around on the other side of GG to third party. Even if Alliance came out from that fight, it would have been so difficult to reset because this is free pickings for Bleed, but they don't like the situation. They heard the res, they back away. They know that they're out in the open. Now Gaming Gladiators immediately with the turnaround are able to suppress them. Let's talk about the fact that Light has been IGLing out of his mind while being such an insane fragger himself.
He's been so good, but the team in general has just been strength after strength here. Oh, I wondered if Bleed could maybe just roll off the back of that other fight and pick GG up as well. I feel like there's always one team that walks away with that kind of Giant Slayer title. Maybe it's Bleed in this lobby looking for big scalps.
Well, they have an amazing POI being over by Skyhook East. As we take a look at Fnatic, who have still been stuck on the edge of this zone after they had taken that fight earlier on, but being on top of this building, they can afford to take a fight like this. Still putting in the pressure with the Nemesis, allowing the rest of the squad to get into different positions.
Clan, they're looking for this though. Two of their members have come down because of the commotion. Liquid Alienware stuck between EXO and Fnatic. One member of EXO still holding the hill so they don't lose that fantastic position, but we are expecting EXO to maybe get involved in this and pick up some kills.
And that could still be very risky though. You've moved up just enough where you could get called out by Fnatic. They get another crack, and when you gave up that space by the shot, now you're forced to back away to prevent other teams from walking in for free, from taking that from you. Because it is now Liquid Alienware that was pinched between EXO and Fnatic, as Liquid Alienware are stuck between the crates.
I think it's all over Red Rover for Liquid Alienware here. We'll go over to Landslide as we see closer to where the circle's actually pulling. It's gone very north, not towards Mirage Etoile, very much towards Landslide. Liquid Guild, you can see set up on the high ground there. We're trying to deal a little bit with not Moist. Looking back at this other fight, I think we're just waiting here. Just a matter of time until Liquid get pinned.
But do you even have time? The circle is about to close in the next 3 seconds. Having to maybe call an evac tower to get onto the other side, because when that circle closes in, you still have to deal with EXO from the choke.
But they're too locked into this. They're too close. They can't take it because Liquid is right there.
What?
They take too long.
Fnatic gets taken out. The play from that one member of Liquid has slided at the foot of that evac tower to clean them up, but Liquid cannot rest them. They still have to move forward.
In the meantime, EXO looking to pick up the extra kills they do. They get them from Liquid, and that's important how quickly they did this, because despite us saying that they had such a fantastic position, they've now had to vacate that and move further east.
And they're inside the zone. We're trying to attempt to get onto the edge of the zone. They've made it already through. We also saw on the feed, by the way, TSM finding Nox onto Complexity. And EXO Clan have the high ground here, while TSM will be exiting out of Mirage. Will also use a crypto drone to get a scan on the survey to see what the crews are within the vicinity of the zone. Yeah, they lose it on 2, and it's only up to Case Winnie, keeping the dreams alive. Can't hide as a red inside. inside the crate, but they do come out from this fight. It is Makers who had the advantage with those Eagle shots, waiting for Extra to come into the vicinity.
Not a huge amount of time to reset here. I like that we're getting some vision of Landslide now, because this position will be important. Guild for the longest time now, trying to hold out Not Moist from the height. But they're going to have to move across. The position that we saw Gaming Gladiators in before is probably the best in the lobby right now. They have the north side of the zone to themselves. They'll be able to move down from there and really start holding out some of these other teams like Guild and Moist.
Can we talk about the amount of fans in the crowd for Not Moist? Hashtag let's get wet here for a team that has just been performing out of their minds. The Team Falcons, a team that's slightly struggling now, finding themselves back away. It's only too clutch right between the smokes. It's not going to be enough. Falcons get eliminated.
Even from Falcon, they have been struggling on World's Edge this tournament. I mean, struggling compared to what we're used to from the Vicky, which is complete and utter domination. But it won't happen here as they go out in 12th spot in our first match.
With some help from TSM, by the way. You saw them on the other side of that fence after they now swoop up and take E36, sending them right back to the lobby. Now, Not Moist, though, Glossy losing out on his shield, understanding the situation, having to back away, stands out beside it, is able to pick up the battery. Fury get eliminated, 9 squads left, but Not Moist are still feeling peppered by the team that is right in front of them, while also getting out of line of sight of the team that may be holding the platform.
They've got the Fuse, Guild have the Watson. But Guild are on the move. They can't necessarily get set up and be able to have that pylon to deal with all the ordnance coming out of Moist.
So many teams are looking at them from where they are positioned in that corner, because you know that you could see them also when you're on the high ground of the bridge. If you are Bleed Esports, that had a fantastic rotate into that southern side of the zone.
You can see it was a desperate pylon attempt. It lasted a little bit, but the top of it was just poking out over that box, so the other teams from afar are the ones to destroy it. Now with the EMP, they have to try and retreat behind this smoke. They've done it. Moist don't see them as they actually make it under the Bleed.
Welcome to the crypto meta. When you see the EMP and you get caught in it, you're going to be forced to back away if you don't have a defensive EMP yourself. Noctum have been able to reset here, but they were able to get a knock onto Legacy.
Empty finished off, Legacy down. I don't think Guild are going to be walking away with this one. Not Moist. They made the move first from Landslide, and despite attracting a little bit too much attention, they win out in the end.
So listen to the EMP onto Noct. He's lost out on his shield, but he'll have enough time to pop that shield back. Maybe even go for a swap. There was a box right there because it was Makers who were trying to contest them up on the high ground. You see the 2 beacons that are right below the feet of Noctum. They could use that as some cover. Guild too, but Not Moist decide to engage on them, and Guild get eliminated. Noctum with the Kraber. Let's just talk about the fact that Atnam has been on another level with that Kraber, and now Noctum finish off Bleed Esports.
The crowd definitely getting behind Noctum's scan. A little bit of a surprise package for us here in Mannheim. Gaming Gladiators now taking survey of the land in front of them. As we mentioned, they've got the north to themselves. The zone is to their back. Everyone else is going to be running into each other right now, and GG are just going to look on with glee.
Oh, Rex, he tried to start blasting, but he gets taken out, and Zap is going to meet his demise right alongside him. Makers playing off the back. BKG still slightly neighboring them, though. It's just a solo, while Noctum still as a 3-man. Look onto Gaming Gladiators, who have circle advantage.
8 points already. They've got, and I'm sure more are coming. Wow, actually managed just to grab 1 finish, so being a bit of a nuisance for Makers. There we go.
Taken out right before Makers, though, felt the pressure, and they'll have to go back revive.
Makers are at their best when they're fragging out, and as you can see, 4 kills. Still leader for Asia's right now. Is this his tournament to prove he's one of the best in the world?
I mean, talk about timing on that res. They needed to do that desperately, and you saw the circle pressure too, but they had space. They have some room to breathe for now, and it looks like they're calling in a respawn beacon. Gaming Gladiators have sent out the Bang ult, trying to prevent that situation from happening, clearing up the space in the next 40 seconds as the circle will will start to close then.
I mean, there's respawn beacons everywhere as far as I can see. I think too many of them are in the zone, unfortunately, but there we go. Can he find his way back to a death box and help his teammates out? Asia's just struggling, might be able to get medkit off behind that smoke, but the circle will start closing soon, Vicky.
Probably having a gen right there too, after getting that res, knowing that you have little cover to play off of between the crates and then that train cart that Asia has been getting peppered in originally, but with Zicky being back, this would be an insanely clutch play for Makers, who have held this high ground. Remember, we saw Bleed here originally. Yes, there is that gen. I did see the passive shield regenerate for the Watson.
And talking about passive, I mean, GG have been playing passive most of this game, but for now, they have to start getting involved. You can see them taking up space here. The Newcastle castle wall is down. They've got a couple of rocks to play behind. But how long will this last for? Cat wall as well.
Exactly. I was just about to say, with the cat wall being available for them, they could slowly inch forward out of the cover that they have already built up for themselves. But you have to be careful with Atnam and this Kraber. He misses it this time, but he has been so consistent since yesterday in landing those shots.
I mean, 4 bullets. He's still got access to that, as well as the EMP, which surely is coming out soon. You can't lose the drone now. That would be an ugly spot, but they don't. The EMP goes up, and they go in.
And knocked him out, trying to play for a second. Knowing that Gaming Gladiators is going to walk in the third part of this fight. They come in blasting after the EMP to initiate the engagement. Makers get eliminated, and now this is Gaming Gladiators, who may be taking a little slow of their time. Blasting at the angle. Love that. Would love to slide it in to take the first dub of this match point finals for Gaming Gladiators.
They don't even look surprised, Vicky. As if it was expected, as if this game went exactly as Gaming Gladiators planned. 6 kills, 18 points. That's a solid start on their way to 50 points and achieving match point eligibility.
Let's not forget when they had engaged on Fighting Alliance and Bleed tried to third-party them, didn't like the timing to that. Not only did they reset off of Alliance's death boxes, but they still maintained control over that side of the zone. They had priority after coming out from Sky West, from Trials side, and they still were able to find themselves clearing that entire side when so many teams, even TSM that tried rotating that direction, had collapsed over to the south side.
Insane to think about some of those what-ifs, isn't it? I mean, Bleed end up with 6 points. Could they have ended up with the 18 if they'd pushed forward and been able to win out in that fight?
And look how tight after that first game these results have been here too. Knocked them with 8 KP, still set them only 1 point apart to Gaming Gladiators. We get to see the side-by-side team comparison. Even with those extra placement points though, Knocked them had been able to get a few extra kills to put them right next to Gaming Gladiators.
Pretty even there between our top 2 teams, and wow, okay, after Alliance walk away with a LAN win, all of a sudden there's a lot of EMEA teams up the top of our leaderboard right now.
It's almost like, you know, we're in Germany or something, and it's great to have the home crowd here to give these European teams their support. It's been great thus far after that first game, still sticking to World's Edge, but don't go anywhere because we got some more Apex Legends finals on the other side of this break.
all good. Just chill.
I got the map first, I got the map.
We need to go swing out, right side and wall up.
Yes, I'm gonna just use the wall, I think, like from here.
You need to go from right side, Blast.
Yeah, I see that, but I can't really get there.
I smoke.
I'm gonna wood it, I think.
Do it.
I'm doing it. I wood it.
Yes, all good.
You're safe on the
Play
wall.
right side. Yeah, play right side.
I'm gonna ult it.
Yeah, anything.
Go down.
Okay, I'm fighting with Blast.
Dogs.
Fight slowly.
Yeah, from height.
From height.
Go. Dead. Let's go. We're so good, boys. We're so fucking good, bro.
Welcome back to Mannheim, Germany, everybody, and welcome back to Match Point Finals Day. It is a special time whenever we get to find ourselves on a Sunday, find ourselves here in Match Point Finals, and it's Onset and Gaskin to talk you through our next game. Before we get there, though, we're going to talk to you about some of these beautiful things you can see on your screen, and that is, of course, these Battle Beaver controllers. They are the official controller partner of the Apex Legends Global Series. Use code ALGS on their site, battlebeavercustoms.com, for 20% off during the Split 2 playoffs weekend. You can go directly to battlebeaver.gg/ALGS to automatically apply the 20% off code. Now, Dan, we've just got here into the casters booth. We've just watched GG in front of a European crowd here win game number 1, and now we are set up beautifully for match number 2.
Absolutely perfect so far from Gaming Gladiators. Would they be able to be good enough to match up with some of the biggest and some of the best? Well, so far this tournament they've been good, and now here in Match Point Finals they have demonstrated they are the team to now chase after the first matchup, but can they carry on with this momentum?
Interesting to see on these leaderboards as well. It's not just Europe on top, it was a Europe 1-2 as well, as Noctum were just in behind them as well. And I just need to give a shout out to the crowd. It's only game 2 here, and you guys have been absolutely electric. It has been brilliant to be inside of this building, and we're looking forward to that noise going up and up and up as we get through these games. But let's take a look at these competitors. This is the lobby. These are the players. These are the teams who will be following here as we head into World's Edge.
The Gaming Gladiators, they were in my top 5 teams of this tournament for World's Edge in particular, and that has carried on here into Match Point Finals. The other teams up there, Not Noise, Alliance, Guild, and Exoclan, they're the other squads that should be putting points on the boards when we're on World's Edge, because when we move over to Storm Point, as I always say, the better teams, they transition. We get to see other squads that actually favor a different map.
Well, let's look at TSM then. They had some really good moments, got towards that end game, but just couldn't win that final fight that they were involved in to push themselves into that top 3 or 4, which of course they would have loved to be in. But one team, I mean, we were having some conversations, and you might see that I'm missing from the predictions graphic, and it's for good reason. Cannot be trusted. But GG, I've been talking to you all morning. Everyone who's asked me, everyone who came and say hello a little bit earlier, I was like, who do you think is going to win? And I'm on the GG train, man. I think they are. I think Eric put it so well on the desk night down. He was like, you can't, they have become undeniable, right, in their performances, not just here, but in recent tournaments as well, and they are looking like a powerhouse of a team now to try and take down in the lobby.
I mean, worth looking at Gaming Gladiators, right? They're playing from Skyhook West, which is a very desirable POI. It's in the top 5 POI win percentages so far this tournament, and they've just put another win on the board. That is their 4th World's Edge victory so far this tournament, more than anyone else on this map. So as we get further, as we get deeper into Match Point, if they find themselves on World's Edge, once they've reached that threshold, they may be the team to lift that trophy.
Well, a long way to go, of course, before we do get there. First of all, it's all about hitting Match Point, crossing that threshold, and the best way to do that is get these points on board as quickly as possible. Placement kills, a good combination of the both, and you are going to get a step closer to being able to close this thing out. We're heading into match 2, everybody. Match Point Finals, and we're back on World's Edge.
Some other big teams I want to look at this game, the likes of SSG, the likes of Guild, the likes of C9. They are playing from POIs that have yet to find a victory so far this tournament. Landslide, Survey, Tree have not seen a team win from there yet, so you have to try and beat those records, beat those zeros, if you want to be able to put big points on the board here.
Interesting to see what that zone actually pulled in the previous game as well. It felt like a lot of the teams, based off of First Beacon information, were playing for the Mirage side, playing for the western side of World's Edge, and it was the shift back that kind of gave a little bit of, I would say, assistance to the teams who had to travel the furthest, because that was the least busy side of that zone, and that's where GG really came to the fore, having the opportunity to wrap around that side from the north and clean up those kills in those final moments. But speaking of zone, Dan, this is where we're going. Talk us through it.
Yeah, and there was a few murmurs in the crowd. I think there was some cheers in the crowd as well. Maybe for VK Gaming, they're up there towards Epicenter. They will have a brilliant path towards where this zone's going to be going. But it's going to be Not Moist who are arguably in one of the best positions here. They have a ring console to work with at Climatizer. Climatizer has also been one of the best POIs on World's Edge to find victories from. And then, of course, you have to talk about Alliance at Overlook. Also have a ring console. So those will be the 3 teams that will have priority to zone here.
Yeah, I'm looking at Alliance, and I think this is a great zone for them as well. If it does pull back towards those rock formations, you can just see to the north of where they find themselves right now. They're going to have great high ground coverage. They're going to be able to shoot all the teams who rotate in a little bit later. But we'll have to see if GG can put a game together here all the way from Trials, which is quite the way to go.
And it's good that we check in with Team Falcons playing from Lava Siphon. This has been the best POI to find victories on World's Edge. 15% of the wins on World's Edge so far this tournament have come from Lava Siphon. And of course, Falcons are a big reason because of that. But can they put one on the board here in match 2 to try and find themselves a little bit further up the leaderboards? Because down in 16th right now, of course, they'll want to be getting to match point threshold first, so that they can have that first chance of lifting the trophy.
I think that a lot of the teams who are in this lobby and who have been in this tournament so far have started to just realize that although Falcons have a huge amount of credentials, they have tournament wins that stack up above anyone else's, it's just 3 humans playing the game at the end of the day, and they haven't been afraid to take the fight when they have had to, and the pressure, of course, is something that Team Falcons will be feeling more than anyone else. One team is pretty close to them at the moment, I'm talking about on the map, is going to be Liquid Alienware. They're just rotating at the moment from launch site towards Lava Siphon, and at the moment it's actually interesting to see that Dreamfire have kind of wedged themselves in between Liquid and Falcons, so they might be in a little bit of a tough spot to try and escape.
And how about this tournament so far for Team Liquid Alienware as well? From the elimination bracket round 1, do or die, final game to get themselves all the way here into the grand finals, and now they still have an opportunity to lift the trophy. But we briefly checked in with them, they saw they were starting to move, they were starting to groove. But I wonder whether Dreamfire are going to have a look at taking this fight against Falcons here, or whether Falcons are just going to say, look, we need to get on a hurry and let's start moving as well.
Yeah, it looks like Falcons have decided the best thing to do here is continue our rotation. Looks like Dreamfire weren't poking, they weren't prodding, they weren't trying to get damage down, which means that they're just looking for Falcons to leave so they can hit that ring console that is left behind. Falcons going to now go over towards Geyser, and it looks like they're going to wrap for the tunnel, as they sometimes like to do, or maybe it's going to be a play towards the choke. It does look like they're actually going to go for the tunnel, so Old Trusty on the rotation towards the north from Falcons.
So we've already got about 10 teams that are within Zone 2 here, and are pretty much settled for a good time, and hopefully a long time alongside it. But there are going to be about 6 teams now approaching this northeast area, and Guild Esports is going to be one of them. Oh, and actually they've been able to get a quick, cheeky knock here onto Zainu, and SSG look like they're in tatters.
SSG were being pressured there by NRG, and a combination of Not Moist and Gilda just overextended. They hear the fight going down, they see the opportunity. That's just going to be free for them. SSG will be eliminated, so your stats starting to stack up here on World's Edge even after a couple of games.
Yeah, they are at a POI that typically struggles in World's Edge, and maybe Storm Point can be a better home for them as we switch over to that for match 3. As remember, in the match point finals, we switch every 2 maps rather than every 3 that you might have traditionally saw in the tournament so far.
So taking a look in now with Not Moist. Waltzy's going to be brought back to his feet. We mentioned how they were in a little bit of a scuffle with the combination of NRG. Guild, Bleed Esports are also approaching as well. And it's interesting to see what Not Moist actually try and do from this position. Like you mentioned, they did have ring console. You can see that on the top left-hand side of your screen through Guild's minimap. And are they just going to try and play Climatizer for the long game here, or are they going to try and force their way up a little bit further north? We do have a pause coming in right now as we get a little issue fixed on the stage, but just looking at our map overhead right now, Dan, as we have this pause, it feels like it's a lot of teams already inside of that zone.
Yeah, most people moved very early as soon as it does shift to one of these corners of World's Edge. It's a bit more predictable, but I think this Zone 3 shift is going to be the biggest case of did we do the right thing? Because you mentioned it, down over towards Overlook, we had Alliance. They started to move a little bit north, but they didn't overcommit. They didn't go all the way up to Climatizer. They are expecting it to pull a little bit further south, and that would really benefit them. The likes of ExoClan joined them there as well, so a few teams that will be hoping for it. If it were to go a little bit further north, then there would be a real struggle to try and get into that zone for some of the teams on the southern side.
Yeah, it's also, there's just not a huge amount of playable space between the inside of Epicenter and Overlook. It's just kind of open ground. We know that that train cart that we saw Not Moist in is going to be one place that, of course, is going to be played towards the end game, but very difficult to hold for the long game. Once again, we get crowd cam, though. This is a great opportunity for us to read some of these signs, Dan.
I mean, Papa Jen's surrounded by Moist fans there as well. I just want to make sure he's going to be okay, depending on what happens in this series. but certainly the crowd has been amazing so far today, and I think it's just going to get louder and louder as the games go on, because Match Point Final, as we know, is one of the most, if not the most, incredible way to watch a final in esports. How many games are we going to go? That's the real question. That's
how many did you say? You were asked earlier. You were asked earlier. How many did you say?
I think that we could go as far as 10 games. Of course, the biggest difference in this LAN compared to previous LANs is there are no advantage points. Everyone started on 0. The threshold is going to be 50, so it should, in theory, take a little bit longer for some of these teams to reach that.
I said 12.
12?
12 games. That's what I believe is going to happen today. I think we are going to have one of the craziest finals. And the reason I say that, everyone I spoke to this morning when we were meeting some of the awesome people who are out in this crowd right now, I got different answers from everyone. There was TSM, there was EXO, there was Alliance, there was Bleed, excuse me, there was GG from me, Falcons. I mean, literally anyone in this lobby you look at the moment, and you could make an argument that they will be the players who will walk up and grab that trophy, lift it above their heads when we do get to the end of this finals. It is, in my personal opinion, the most stacked lobby I feel we've had in the Apex Legends Global Series so far.
And I think sometimes we will get to Match Point Finals.
I reckon Wig regrets that picture so much.
Wig definitely regrets that. When we get to Match Point Finals, we sometimes see teams who have not been able to find a victory, right? And sometimes we'll have a final lobby where maybe 9 or 10 teams haven't actually found a victory and they've just got through on points throughout. But the majority of this lobby has at least found 1 win, if not 2, some even upward of 3 to 6 victories. And that's why it is so difficult to predict, because it's all well and good getting over that threshold, but can you get the victory afterwards?
I gotta say as well, the EXO fans have relocated just into my eye line, and they are making some incredible noise. There they are. Give yourselves a round of applause. Not just for today, by the way, but for the effort that you guys and girls have been putting in throughout the tournament. They were here at 9 AM on the first day. They couldn't wait to get in. They haven't stopped.
Well, can EXO Clan give them a reason to cheer? They are in my top 5 World's Edge teams with points scored throughout this tournament, 112. But they are very much a World's Edge team. It is a little bit worse when you look over to Storm Point. They only found around 15 points.
It's fine.
So they need something, and certainly with the way the circle's going and where EXO Clan currently find themselves, there maybe could be a chance here.
Well, a little bit of silence falls upon the arena just for a second as we get to look in on how Nessie's getting on. Feels like Nessie's like a really good luck charm for a lot of these teams. It's like a comforting moment amongst the carnage that we do see.
I think at this point, Nessie is comforting for everyone involved. Well, the players are getting ready. You can see Unlucky, a little wave to the camera as he locks in now. And everyone will be re-entering World's Edge very shortly, ladies and gents. So thanks so much for your patience during that pause. Of course, have to make sure everything is set up and correct for every single player on this stage. As there's that beautiful countdown timer, everyone.
3, 2, 1. Let's get back into this Apex Legends Match Point Finals, everybody. Let's get back into match 2.
So we rejoin the POV of Bleed Esports. Arguably one of our best Storm Point teams in the tournament. But can they find the same success here on World's Edge to give them the best opportunity when we do shift over to maybe take a lead at the top of that leaderboard? You can see E36 have taken a lot of damage here. It's going to be C9 on the other side of this fight.
Yeah, he saw drops. Probably thought he could get invested in one of those kills, but it was going to be Sorcerer who managed to get the final bullets in, having done the majority of the damage, which is going to credit, of course, C9 with that point. C9, again, another sleeper team that made a great run, almost made the miracle play in the winners finals as well to qualify automatically through to today. Just came up a little bit short, but then fought their way back extremely strongly in that elimination bracket final to join us here today on Championship Sunday. And they're going to have a point on the board already. Now, EXO Clan, you mentioned them within Overlook at the moment and in a very, very healthy looking spot.
Much to the crowd's joy, we have EXO Clan on our screens, but it's just a check-in because they're going to be fine. They're going to be dandy. They don't really need to worry about too much at the moment. What they need to be considering is getting Swinny in the drone. There you go, he's invisible. And making sure that he keeps the lookout just in case anyone does try and arrive a little bit late. Dive on in and take this position away from them. But they should be able to hold that pretty strong. The Watson, of course, is going to help them fortify this building. But it's going to be about this Zone 3 shift here. This is going to be a big one. If we go up north towards Climatizer, it's going to be great news, but if it continues to trend a little bit further east, then that is even better news for the likes of Alliance, who have hoped that it was going to move towards these rock formations.
So Alliance in a great spot. You can see in your map overhead there, Exo Clan, Complexity Guild, LG, Bleed, Esports, all safe, but it now means that Not Moist will have to move a little bit further from their POI over at Climatizer towards where this end game is going to be taking place. NForce 36 managed to get a respawn while we were checking in with Exo Clan, so they'll be up to a full 3. The teams at the moment who are furthest away, TSM, Dreamfire. TSM you can see rotating on the left-hand side of your screen now, all the way to the west of World's Edge, and they're going to be probably thinking their next stop is going to be somewhere around Fragment.
And TSM very happy with their POIs, especially here on World's Edge, because they were able to get the ability to have 2 POIs, essentially. Over from Lava Fissure, there's always that worry that Mirage Etoile is going to be taken by someone else, and then you really are just trapped when you drop. But they've got all of that western side to themselves, and that's why they are going to be arriving a little bit later, as Makers currently at the moment sitting between the fire and the flames and just hoping they can stay alive.
That's Moist who are trying to move up onto them. Skynade's going to come in here from Waltzy. Looking for some big numbers to drop his way, but not going to. Doesn't quite connect with that one, but we mentioned how Moist are going to have to start their travels north a little bit here, and that's exactly what they're being forced to do. Waltzy's going to be hit by the EMP, though, which is going to send them back. And speaking, I should say, of being sent back, it's Exo Clan who'll be back in the lobby screen because Alliance win that fight, and Tyler is already on the lookout for more.
And I was saying the building looked fortified. You had the fences down, but Alliance, a team that is so good in those 3v3 engagements, and they're able to break through and take down Exo Clan, and now Alliance are going to have a lot of space on that eastern side. But it is going to be Makers who are on the furthest east of this circle, by the way, who are going to have a lot of room to play with. As now we check in with Dreamfire, they're going to be approaching from the south. It's Fnatic they're looking at over towards Geyser. But of course, Dreamfire can head up these rocks. They don't really have to take this fight.
Yes, interesting to see, actually. Fnatic kind of feinted to go the Vault Tunnel way, so Dreamfire have decided they wanted to go the other way. But Fnatic have actually turned around and might be looking to mirror them. Now over into Fragment. Team Falcons. A little bit of a slow game, number 1. As now they move their way in towards train station. Now Furia were to their east. You can see them on your screen right now on third person, and this is what I was talking about with Dreamfire and Fnatic. Fnatic were thinking about trying to catch them off guard with the mirror, but it looks like Dreamfire were watching their back, and it's one of those things that's very easy to forget sometimes in the pressure of a match point finals.
Yeah, Fnatic were able to get a lot of damage. Elsewhere in the kill feed, Moist have just taken down Makers. I was saying how Makers had a lot of room on the eastern side, while Moist said, actually, we're not happy with that. We want to make sure this is our side of the map. As now Fnatic, they're being pressured here.
They certainly are. Dreamfire is sending this. They are trying to engage. They are trying to catch them off guard. Peter trying to hold the line here on the Newcastle behind his castle wall, but he's got to pop a med kit here. He's not going to be able to get it off. He's going to go down as well. But while all of this is going on, by the way, Dreamfire and Fnatic are fighting. Who's arriving to third party through the choke? It's going to be Team Liquid, and here they come. Liquid will get the final pieces as we're down to 16.
Yeah, Fnatic's still alive at the moment, but for how long? Because Liquid are pushing in. How's your defense, Fnatic? Can you hold on? Can you hold strong? They're doing well right now, but you've got to go big.
Zone damage is going to be a problem here for both players. Leica trying to clutch up. They've managed to turn this into a 1v1 somehow or other. But Leica chooses to pop the shield battery instead of the med kit. Can he get a syringe off in time? Gonna try and time the med kit. Did he get the timing right on this though? It's gonna come right down to the last second. The med kit is getting closer and closer. It's perfect from Leica.
I have never heard a crowd cheer for a med kit that loud before, but I bloody love it. Now, Jaguares still alive, but it's gonna be a 2 versus 1. Gets the res. Elsewhere, Falcons taking the fight.
Falcons look like they have the upper hand in this fight as well. How and Zero get those knocks, and it's Vaxelon will be the last player trying to escape here, if I wasn't mistaken, from Furia. Back over to Fnatic though, and Fnatic have won that fight. Liquid Alienware tried to third party, but it's Fnatic who come out.
That is insane. An insane hold from Fnatic. And Liquid Alienware maybe rue the day that they did decide to push that, but they thought it should be easy. Leica's just gone down again to the ring, but I'm sure they'll be able to work together to stay alive, Fnatic. It is going to be a long journey from the south, and they do need to move quick. Elsewhere, Falcons got kills onto Furia. Furia are now down to 1. As Alliance, they look like they might be pushing again. Here's a little replay of that Fnatic hold.
I mean, it's a crazy, crazy play. We saw, it just felt like Liquid was sending it in. They were going to be able to get the kills, but it's Leica. The 1v1, you saw him get away. Both players realized that taking this engagement was not going to be healthy for both. They both disengage. They have to pop the med kit. They have to do so just to stay alive. considering the fact that this fight is taking place in the zone, and it is Fnatic who eventually came out on top. We did see momentarily that Alliance were having a look at Noctum inside of this truck, but it looks like both teams, for now, have decided to disengage.
The bravery to pop that shield battery first, by the way. So many players would have probably gone for heals out of sheer panic, but Leica knew his exact timings and was able to get a battery and a med kit off, and now Fnatic are still alive. But they may run in to Team Falcons, as we saw they were hovering around the middle of the map.
Speaking of which, here we are. Fnatic taking some damage as well. They've had to go through the skies to get here, and unfortunately, it's looking like Fnatic might be in trouble here. Fnatic are eliminated, and it's more KP going the way of Falcons.
Falcons need to keep going, though. They do have the drone out at the moment. Jen Burton's just scouting around, looking for, I think, TSM, who are nearby. As Cloud9 are being forced away by Enter Force 36 here.
Well, Shuby's going to help him out from distance. It seems like Bleed Esports and Cloud9 are working together at the moment. When it comes to Ender Force 36, Furia are respawning, by the way. Madness and Vaxilon will be back in the game, so it was in fact Keon, the player, who managed to escape from that fight with Falcons a little bit earlier in Fragment. But speaking of fights, another one should be taking place here. Ender Force 36, the second run at this rotation doesn't work for them, and they will be eliminated.
We had a brief look at the zone as Furia brought back to their feet. It is going to be heading a little bit further north, up towards, by the way, Gaming Gladiators, who hold prime position at the moment. Imperial House just gone down, though, and it's going to be them against TSM right now.
Jen Burton's going to fall as well. It's all up to Zero, and TSM on their revenge arc right now. Zero dancing behind the knockdown shield, but firing blind, can't connect. Falcons are out. TSM will put them down.
TSM put them down, but Noctum Scan are lurking like piranhas here, looking to see if they can clean up any scraps, but it looks like TSM have been able to get back on board.
They should be safe. I think Noctum don't want to drop from the position on height that they do have over in Overlook. C9, though, done some good damage as Guild will take out NRG, who tried to make a play for the truck that they currently hold. C9 have got to move from the southern side of this zone in towards where this zone is going to be pulling, which is right back up to the north. Guild eliminated in the meantime. NRG will win that fight.
Yeah, Bleed, Not Moist, Gaming Gladiators, those three teams are in the best spots. Complexity also with a real opportunity to do some damage here, because not only are they in a good position to transition to the next zone, but they can pick up kills from all these teams that are going to be approaching from the south here. You can see Noctum's got to move, but I think they're fighting TSM. At the moment, they're above them, though.
Well, TSM are making the play, and you can see they've already managed to find 2 kills here. Zap's going to get one. Verholst is going to finish it off with a second as well. And Noctum Scam will be eliminated. It's Vaxilon who gets that final elimination onto Remix Powers. So Noctum Scan, after a great performance in game number 1, won't be able to make it inside of the top 10 this round. But TSM look like they're on the warpath.
TSM are on a warpath. Speaking of Verholst, he's feeling confident about their performance. They feel like they found their groove at just the right time at this LAN. And I'm sure they would love to hoist that trophy once more, but there's a long way to go until that could possibly happen.
Well, you see an Unlucky is trying to rotate, using that electrified zip line to get back to his teammates of Alliance, and TSM are trying to hunt them down. One player going to be caught off here, but look at the kill feed. It's Sorcerer with the bow who's doing work. GG are going to join in as well, and Zap now left on his own for TSM.
It's such a difficult rotation for TSM, and it should be falling to your demise right about here, right about now, as they're out in 9th position. Furia able to hold. But Furia also being shot by several teams. It's VK Gaming and Alliance. And now C9, they're sending on Complexity.
C9 are trying to get in this building. Why wouldn't you? You've got a Devotion, and you've got a man called Naughty. Can't quite get that damage he was looking for to get that knock, and now they've got to pop outside. And when you pop outside with so many teams alive, it means there's going to be more bullets coming your way.
Dropped, overextended from Bleed just to do that damage, trying to pick up some KP, but now he backs off. But it is Bleed from the north here who are doing a lot of real harm to these teams who are trying to approach as Cloud9 also falls.
Alliance now looking to move up onto this carnage, but Unlucky decides he has to back up. They have to play safe for now. Tyler's going to send in the bango. Rolling Thunder will be coming down, which is going to stutter all of the pushes from the other teams in and around this building. 6 squads remaining as he gets a lot of damage off the bango, but no knocks.
No knocks in the moment, but Alliance need to think about how they're going to approach this northern side. Do they try and third-party this between VK and Complexity? Or do they actually reconsider wrap round on the eastern side, but then you are going to have to compete with the likes of Not Moist, who are currently holding it. You're only going to have about 10 seconds to make a decision here.
Well, Complexity need to move. 2 shots in the Kraber here for Monsoon. He can create an opening with just 1 bullet. But the less ammo you have, the more pressure on your shoulders as Complexity will slide out to the pylon. As Alliance now set up another zip line. Lou looking to move in. VK Gaming dealt with. There is a mobile shield down for them to try and res Monsoon, but it might just be a case of playing out as a 2.
How about complexity, by the way? But look elsewhere. You've got Alliance now from the skies trying to find somewhere to play. Not Moist have been holding this position for quite some time. Let's jump into a listen it.
I almost get ready.
One shot!
Behind Newcastle wall. Nice! Last guy.
Left guy. You can bat. Get a bat off.
I'm batting.
Nice. He can't res. He cannot res.
Yep.
Play big here.
He didn't shoot. Outside.
No, man. He just has Mozamps. No, we just you don't.
Not Moist cannot clutch. Guild cannot get the clutch. And in the meantime, Complexity have just managed to respawn Monsoon.
Complexity back into the game. Complexity back on the stage, by the way. We've not seen Complexity in a finals since 2019 here in the ALGS. And they are cooking. They're into the last 3, and they might just get into the last 2 here.
We're talking about Complexity. We're talking about Bleed Esports, who are down to a solo. But who's the other team? Who's the other team involved in this endgame as a full, strong-looking squad? It's going to be GG. The winners of game number 1 are back here in our endgame in game 2.
GG looking to press, looking to try and get even closer to that match point threshold. They're on 29 points, and there is still plenty to be gathered here in this last circle. Drop the last remaining player from Bleed, just trying to survive, just trying to stay. I want to avoid these sightlines right now and maybe hope that GG and Complexity fight so we can maybe sneak a second.
Well, good news for us is he's not playing crypto, which means that
we can see him.
We can see him. And everybody else can see him as well. It might not be good news if you're a Bleed Esports fan, but for Blast, it means he can send it. He can get that kill, get that elimination. And GG here, who have complete and utter control of this zone, might be looking to go back-to-back.
What does GG have defensively here? You've got the Catalyst, and you do have a wall to use if you need it, but Complexity are getting aggressive.
Lufka just trying to play an anchor position here, but here's the swing from Light. Blast will get the first knock. Light still alive here. Complexity trying to push themselves. The follow-up is coming in now from Blast. He can't get it.
Great Newcastle res.
Go back to back. In our match point finals. From unspoken to undeniable. GG are looking incredible on our main stage.
The Gaming Gladiators are here with one task in hand, and it is to win this trophy. You can see it in their gameplay. They know exactly how they want to approach these final circles. Their zone calls have been incredible. And it's the execution at the final of it as well. You see the Newcastle res come in and you think, there's 2 decisions to make, right? You hold it, you take the 2v1, or you surprise your opponent, and just like that, you take the W. And now Gaming Gladiators are closing in on 50 points.
Incredible hot start here from those 3 gentlemen you can see on your screen. Complexity, though, in second place. A great game from them, which certainly will put those points on the board that gives them an opportunity to start thinking about how many points they require to get towards match point. Bleed, again, involved in those final moments as well. Was dropped to scurried away as the solo to get them inside of that top 3. But again, what a game. What a game of Apex Legends, and it's just going to get better and better.
And I mean, Complexity as well, though, getting into the final 2. It feels like yesterday when Monsoon joined us on the desk because he was struggling in the tournament, wasn't able to get to the finals, and then suddenly he's here in a match point finals yet again with the Complexity squad who look like they mean business.
So as we come back on camera, it gives us a chance to kind of just discuss what we've seen, and it's all about GG. I mean, what other better place to do it than in Europe for this EMEA team who has... It's been a crazy story, right? I mean, if you go back to the split that we just had in the ALGS in EMEA, halfway through the season, they make the team change, and before that, they just looked like they were not going to be able to produce any results whatsoever. But now, you fast forward a couple of events, you fast forward to where we find ourselves now on a Sunday, and they start off the match point finals going back to back. It's incredible to see the performance this team is putting in right now.
It was the ability that we just saw from Gaming Gladiators to kind of avoid any pointless fights up in that northern side, but then take the ones that would actually give them something as a reward. Whether it was utility that they required, whether it's positioning they were able to gain out of it, they just required whether it was positioning final circle, and they are rewarded with 20 points here on set.
20 points, 8 kills alongside the 12 placements. Complexity with that second place. 5 KP for them. Bleed Esports KP is going to help them to 13 as well. And looking at elsewhere, when you're looking at KP, Fnatic with those 5, even though they finished down in 15th, means that they will get some more points on the board as well. TSM, we saw them go on a little bit of a run on that southern side as they approach that zone as well, but unfortunately for them, just too many teams in front of them to go through, and that zone really started to become a problem for them.
And now it means we will be moving over to Storm Point, right? And I mentioned the teams that were having success on World's Edge, but now for Bleed, a team who just got a top 3, they are our best Storm Point team in the tournament when it comes to victories, when it comes to points being scored so far. So the fact they are still up there in that conversation during World's Edge gives them a real opportunity here now to try and catch those lobby leaders.
And Bleed's still finding ways to get into these fantastic endgame positions as well. And I keep talking about drops, and I've been so impressed with the calls that he's made and the timing on their rotates to kind of thread the needle through other teams to gain access to some of these spots. We saw it yesterday on Storm Point. We saw it today in these first couple of games as well. And we'll take a look at the series results when we get back after this break. Not only that, we'll of course have game number 3 and our first look at Storm Point.
Right behind us. I'm gonna kill him. Get kill. Yeah. Got him. Nice. Last team now. I have Bengal. I'm sending you blast. I run back. Okay. Fight here. Look at me. Speaking left. I'm looking right. I'm hitting. I only got 1. What's up? Crypto crack. Let's go. One. Actually, one. Nice. He's 1 HP. Cancel kill. Fuck you, Inter!
An incredible moment, an incredible start here in Mannheim, Germany from Gaming Gladiators. This is, of course, the stage being put together. This is the people who make it such a special place to be. But we did get some pretty awesome content in the break there. Who do you think had the best pose, Dan? That's my real question to you.
Without a shadow of a doubt, it was Monsoon as well.
No.
Any player who is brave enough to pose for us during some of those media days is gonna hold my
braver than me.
Braver than I.
Do you know who had the best one for me?
Who?
Sykes. He looked like I imagine what like a boss on Elden Ring would look at. You know what I mean? When like you're trying to approach him, he just like terrified, kind of cowering, like I will fight you. But I know how this is gonna go.
Terrified, but you know
my 450th time here.
You know he's capable of taking you down eventually.
Exactly. Scrappy.
Well,
scrappy fighter.
Match 2 has concluded. That means that we are done for World's Edge for now, and we will be moving across to Storm Point. Now, you might be wondering, well, Gaming Gladiators, they are up on, what, 38 points, I believe, at the moment. So they are closing in on match point already, but it has been World's Edge so far. They now have 5 wins across the board this tournament on World's Edge, but when they move over to Storm Point, they only have 1 win, and they only have around 90 points as well so far this tournament. So it's a far worse map for them. So this should open things up for other teams.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? But I think the thing that's sticking out to me most, and you're quite right about GG's performance and how it feels like it's map-specific at the moment when it comes to closing out those wins, but it's the word wins, right? We are match point finals today. You have to win a game of Apex Legends to call yourself champions, and I feel like every time I see GG in a top 5, it gets converted into a win. And that's been kind of the story of this tournament. Every time GG are there, it's no surprise to see them clutch out those final moments and call themselves the champions of this game. And the series results here will kind of back up some of those stats that we're talking about. Only 2 games gone here, but they are just 12 points away now from crossing that match point threshold.
But how long will it take them to get there, right? Because if, let's say, Storm Point is a dud for them for 2 more games and everyone starts to catch up, then they may not reach it until match 5, depending on how things go here. So instead, let's look at some of the teams on Storm Point who have found success so far this tournament. Bleed, Complexity, Not Moist, Fnatic, and TSM. They're the top 5 teams when it comes to points earned so far. In terms of wins, Bleed have 3 wins on Storm Point so far this tournament. Furia with 2 and NRG with 2. Everyone else, only the 1. So we are really changing the direction of the favorites here as we change map, and that's what we've seen a lot throughout this tournament. It really can affect things on what map we're on.
Well, as we wait for the players to get set on our stage, Peeps actually caught up with some members of Falcons a little bit earlier today, so let's see what Peeps found out.
What up, everybody? I am here with the CEO, Imperial Hal. I gotta ask, not a lot of people know, how did you get that nickname, CEO?
I think it came from Monsoon, to be honest. I think we were joking around in like my Twitch channel, and we were talking about like, oh, you know, what are our job titles? And I think he gave me CEO, and everybody kind of ran with it ever since then.
It works. It works. Guys, a sovereign nation. So I saw a tweet yesterday. All right, you're the only person in the history of Apex to make every single LAN final. How does that feel?
It's kind of insane to think about, I'm not gonna lie. Obviously there's players right now that haven't been to the like tournaments at the beginning of the game. You know, like Waltzy, MT and stuff like that, because they started to play later and they were a different region. But the thing about it, I've been playing this game for 5 years and I've done that well for so long. It's kind of like, you know, I felt, you know, it's not like grateful, but it's more so all the work paid off in a way, right? So I was like relieved. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Deserve it, man. Well, you heard it here from the CEO. He's playing today. I wish you the best. I love you, man. That's it from us.
Always great to hear from that man on your screen, the CEO, Imperial Hal. But some different questions maybe to answer for Falcons as we move through these games. There's 2 games now on World's Edge where we really weren't talking too much about them.
No, we haven't been. I think the meta in general has not necessarily trended towards Falcons' success. I think there is other teams that have been able to find more success because of it. Certainly it's a bit more frantic. It's a bit more all over the place. There's a lot of Mozambiques, that's for sure. And some teams have benefited from that. Some teams actually thrive in that chaos. But Falcons have been able to find a way, and we'll have to see whether they can do that here in Storm Point.
Well, speaking of Storm Point, let's take a quick look at where people are going to be dropping here on Storm Point. This is the results of our POI draft that was done, and as you can see here, #1 pick went to Not Moist.
And in terms of win percentages from certain POIs, Not Moist have the #1. Cenote Cave, Zeus Station is also up there as a #1 pick, and Echo HQ and Devastated Coast have also been 2 POIs that have found a lot of success so far this tournament. You can see that on the southern side of the map. Complexity actually going to have a chance to maybe do some damage from down there.
Yeah, of course, you got to keep in mind as well, certain zones would have trended in certain ways, which will, of course, give you a little bit of an advantage when it comes to the success that you've had from certain POIs. But mentioning the Falcons story and going back to what we were just talking about there, they do have the mill. Even though they weren't one of the first 2 picks, they have the mill. This is where they're used to playing from. A lot of comfort for them in their rotates and how they want to approach any zone here on Storm Point. So maybe this is an opportunity here for Falcons to find just a little bit of momentum, because I feel like once they get the momentum going, they'll be very difficult to stop.
And TSM from Lightning Rod, I mean, you mentioned Falcons from Mill. Fantastic POIs that they're going to be able to work with, and Alliance will have the freedom of dropping over towards Ferrari and having Northpad to themselves. So I think that's going to be good for them, because we have seen them griefed a little bit in the past. It was Fnatic actually who were the ones who took it away from them. And interestingly, in this POI draft, we saw it last night. Fnatic went with Barometer, and they went with Barometer South. Now, usually we would see Team Liquid over towards Barometer, and Liquid said, we will fight anyone who tries to challenge us at Barometer. Well, they didn't. They decided, actually, maybe we don't really want to do that in a grand finals.
Yeah, you kind of look at that name, you look at that team, you're like, it's not a, we might win one. It might be traded. It's just not worth it. Fnatic's such a good fighting team, and if they do want to take that fight, it's always going to be one that's filled with risk. But good news, everybody. It looks like we're getting closer and closer to our game restarting here on our first look at Stormpoint. And for GG, I mean, I'm going to keep talking about them because they deserve to be, right? The World's Edge performance is unbelievable, but the trend downwards on Stormpoint, it's, stats you've talked about and how that hasn't been their strongest map. But when you go into any map, after winning the first 2 games in a row, they are going to be full of confidence.
They are, and I mean, if they can find a little bit of momentum here going into Stormpoint, then the stats from the previous games won't really matter, because you mentioned it yourself. As much as we look at statistics across Apex Legends, there is always going to be zones that can affect it, and maybe you had bad pulls, maybe your POI wasn't in the best position, maybe you had a bad draft.
Maybe you got inted.
One thing that Gaming Gladiators have had success with was getting a good POI draft for this scenario, and I think they'll be pretty happy with where they're dropping.
Complexity on your screen right now. You mentioned the first time in their finals for many years, but they are here. They are back, and they start their day pretty strongly as well, with a second place in our previous game. The 3v3 not quite going their way, but a second place with some KP will certainly put some smiles. Not that they really need to be put on Complexity players' faces. They're always smiling, but it's certainly a great way to start the day. You can see the Legend Select is coming in as well for all of our teams. Some of the picks being locked in, which means now we are just moments away.
Always just counting, wondering if we're going to get 100% crypto at some point, but it hasn't quite got there. There's plenty of Newcastles around, a few catalysts to work with, but match 3, it's locked, it's loaded.
Well, we had to wait a few moments here, but now we get back into the action, and it's our first look at Stormpoint on our Sunday in our match point finals, and SSG dropping over towards Launchpad here have been pretty quiet so far in this lobby.
It's Gaming Gladiators who lead the way on 38 points. They have doubled the lead over second place. But can they continue this momentum going into a map that hasn't really been as good for them? And will we start to see teams begin to catch up now? Not Moist already getting a knock here.
Wow.
On to VKG and Timmy. Will have to take a moment before he reconsiders his next shot.
Tough break.
I mean, the good news
I would say it's better to hit the 100 plus, get the knock before the pause, than just as you line up. You got to stop hitting that pause button, Dan.
Don't you dare blame me. Well, it means we get our...
It's all Dan's fault, everyone.
It means that we get our daily stare off. He's already blinked, so I already won that one.
I expected more from you, Fuda. Oh, he's back.
So I believe prior to match 3, there was
he's locked in. Don't forget about it. Like, you've got a challenge on your hands now. Fuda ain't... He's locked in. Oh, production decided maybe not.
They want to save my eyes. They want to save the whole audience's eyes. By the way, I mean, this is going to be a lobby restart. There was an issue with the POIs, so we will be starting this game again in its entirety. So good news for VKG.
Yeah, good news for VKG. Good news as well, I guess, for Timmy, that at least we caught that shot on broadcast before the restart.
Still looks great.
That was cool, right?
Nice warm-up.
Cool shot.
So we'll get this one reset. Sometimes that's going to happen, of course, with all the POIs being selected correctly when we do move to a new map. But it means that everyone gets to go through the same nervous tension that they did prior. Now, it is interesting when you do look across World's Edge compared to Stormpoint that it isn't the same teams. And one big team that is missing from all of those statistics across World's Edge and Stormpoint is Falcons. Falcons aren't up there in the top 5 in either map, and that isn't something that we're used to saying. They are usually the team that dominates the leaderboard when it comes to scores, and it is one of the reasons why they are always up there. And they are one of the best teams in the world, but can they find that same form?
While we wait, for this lobby to get restarted here, Peeps has been doing some good work over the last few days, and he was good enough to catch up with Yanya from Team Liquid Alienware a little bit earlier.
What up, everybody? I am here with Yanya. Dude, I gotta ask. Yesterday, some close calls, all right? barely making it last minutes. You had the entire arena on their feet. Talk to us about that.
It was a roller coaster of emotions. We thought, like on the first losers round, that we were not gonna make it, but we said, okay, it's all or nothing. We gotta win this, or we are out. And when we just won the game and qualified for the next losers round, we felt really, really good. Then the other losers round, we also qualified on top 10. We are on the borderline always, but today I feel like we are gonna win.
All right. I'm loving the confidence. What do you guys have to do to get a win right here and become land champions in Mannheim, Germany?
I think if we just communicate like really good, we play as a team, like I think we can win. Like if we just play like a team, like are we supposed to do it? We can do it.
I got faith, man. I got faith. I wish you the best, man. I love you, dude. That's it for me and Yanya right here. We'll catch you guys.
Well, you heard from Yanya there, and you see Team Liquid, what a crazy story it's been for them. I would say just not over the last few days, but you know, from August to part of Team Liquid Alienware to then fighting their way through the elimination bracket in one of the most breathtaking Game 6s where you are under pressure and have to perform that we've seen in quite some time.
I think what's even more impressive about Liquid's journey so far this tournament is they started off playing a composition they were clearly unhappy with, they were clearly uncomfortable with, they were trying to run the crypto, and it just wasn't their style. And they were brave enough going into elimination bracket to say, you know what, screw it. Let's go back to what we know and what we are better at. And they went for a composition that is far more to their style, and they have now found their way through elimination round 1, elimination round 2, and now into these grand finals. They do find themselves in 16th place at the moment, so still a long way to go if they want to try and catch up the lobby leaders. And I am curious how it's going to be from Coastal Camp. We've not seen anyone have any success from Coastal Camp so far, but also it's not often a pick that we see throughout. It is close enough to Barometer that their pathing is going to be somewhat similar, but we'll have to see how they do in these next couple of games.
Let's take a look at the series results. And this is how it stands so far as we get ready to eventually get into Storm Point. This could be GG up at the top. Great start from them, almost as good as you could possibly get. 2 wins in a row. Noctumscan just in behind them as well, but outside of GG, everybody else extremely close. There's only a couple of points between them, but when you're looking right down at the other side down, and you're looking down at the bottom, is SSG, who have started beyond slowly. Again, 0 points from 2 games for them. Dreamfire also 0 points from 2 games, and we take ourselves back to that crazy fight that they were having with Fnatic. It's I mean, it's not one you want to watch back if you're one of them.
Yeah, for SSG, I guess it's a little bit of a surprise considering their success in World's Edge so far this tournament, but they are dropping over towards Landslide. They haven't really been able to find the same kind of numbers there. I mean, they've not found any numbers at all. Not even found a kill, yet alone a placement point. So they really do need to shift their energy, shift their playstyle a little bit going into matches 3 and 4 here, because it can very quickly get away from you. All of a sudden, we could be into match 3 or 4, and Gaming Gladiators may have hit match point. That's how scary it can be and how quickly some teams can get there.
Yeah, it's a great point that you make here. And as we look at Noctum Esports, again, just another insane story, right? Like a crazy story of players who have fought their way through from the bottom rungs of Apex Legends all the way into a Pro League, all the way into the LAN environment, and now find themselves not just in a match point finals lobby, which is, I think, just one of the most commendable things you can do. It should get a lot more credit than it does just to get to finals. But now they find themselves up at the top of the leaderboard, 2nd place in the overalls. Only 2 games gone, but it's, again, a confident start that just makes you believe you deserve to be in this lobby, alongside some of the names that you probably looked up to when you've been on your journey.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams that can let the occasion just get a better of them, to be honest, and it's good that Noctum have not felt that yet. Now, I don't know how much you can hear the crowd at home, but certainly the EXO Clan fans are very loud here, as that is a Mozambique.
Here.
You need another one now. You can't just have one.
Yeah, this is just a few seasons ago.
We'll get him a second. I say we. It's not going to be me. Maybe Mark can help.
Wait, the man's got. He's got Kimbos.
I mean, it has been an insane tournament, by the way. Mozambique's, this is the most kills we've ever seen from a single gun in a tournament. Like, Mozambique's have really just blown away the statistics. Around 1,000 kills is, like, unbelievable.
So Mozambique's been the talk of the town. Other things that have been talk of the town, especially in the green room, are predictions, Dan. Now, I am going to bring up a graphic. I'm not going to do that, by the way. I'm going to ask for it to be brought up. Let's talk.
Why are you laughing?
How are you feeling?
Why are you laughing?
No, I'm not. What?
Why are you laughing? That's a very respectable score. 371 points, Mark.
Yeah, just
sure. Everyone else has more.
Just 100 shy of Glitter.
That's okay. I went quite brave with some predictions, and I'm also known to be a curse. Now that's bad news for everyone who is a fan of Team Falcons, because everyone I've predicted so far have very much struggled. Even like after Na'Vi had the amazing game, I predicted them and then they suddenly fell off. It's just been one of those situations, but across the board, Graceful at least is lower than me, so I'm not losing, everyone. That's what matters.
There was an interesting conversation between Genome and Snipedown as well, because I think Genome was ahead, and Snipedown realized that Genome was constantly waiting for Snipedown to pick, so then he would pick the same team, knowing that that gap could not be closed. But he called him out on it, and sneaky play from Genome, but Snipe's too experienced, too much of a competitor. He was also asking for bonus points to be brought in at one point, I think, in the green room today, because he just wants to win.
By the way, just quickly, I know I said around 1,000 kills for Mozambique so far this tournament. I can confirm we have surpassed 1,000 kills for Mozambique in this tournament. 1,008 is now where we are here in the grand final. So congratulations to the Akimbo Mozambique for being insane.
It almost feels like the Mozambique was so far down the leaderboards that now it's kind of catching up for lost time, right? It's trying to get as many kills as it possibly can, just to feel like it was part of the arsenal the whole time.
You want to know how many EMPs we've seen this tournament, by the way, from the Cryptos? We've had 1,000...
Wait. Okay, I was going to ask the crowd.
200.
Okay, 1,200.
And 23 EMPs so far this tournament, which again just shows how strong Crypto is in this meta and how heavily picked he is at the moment as well.
How many Mirage ults have we seen there?
None.
None? It's a shame. A couple of Wrecking Balls. We did see a little bit of Mad Maggie. We saw a Horizon on a contest as well. But we're not going to certainly see this in this lobby. I have some wonderful news for everybody who is watching at home and who is patiently waiting in the arena as well, by the way. You want to know what that news is? It's time to get back into the game, everyone! Match 3! It's finally live here on Stormpoint. It's taken us a while to get here. We thank you, of course, for sticking with us as we made sure everything was perfect and pristine for our players on that main stage. And now that it is, we're into match number 3, and the question stands, can GG get over the line in 3 games?
Only they can truly tell that story now. Stormpoint has not been their home, but momentum is very much on their side. I will say, I was a bit confused last game when we had a contest, because it just shouldn't happen.
True.
VK Gaming now will be back at their actual drop location, as will Not Moist. So Not Moist down at Cenote and VK at Ceto. Now, zone-wise, we're going to be heading up north. So this is a good opportunity, again, for Alliance, who are going to be near where this zone is landing, but another team who is up north, Gaming Gladiators, dropping up towards the wall.
Yeah, this is a really, really good zone for GG as well. It's looking like it might be going towards the Trident spawn, maybe pulling out towards the rock formations. We do see that zone that kind of gets a little bit funky, to be honest, and kind of just essentially ends in the open in the sea, but it would be somewhat of a surprise to see that. Cascade is going to be left here by Guild, which gives the indication with the ring console they're hitting that they're going to be heading towards the north, and they don't think it's going that way. Furia also have ring console over at checkpoint, so they're going to have a good prio to this zone. Looking elsewhere over at Down Beast and at Force 36, Team Falcons are going to be able to get there pretty quickly as well if they hit the Trident that will be in their possession. But GG, again, I mean, you mentioned it, Dan, not the greatest of stories for them when it comes to Stormpoint, but 2 wins back-to-back and then getting a zone like this.
2 wins back-to-back. Takes the pressure off a little bit as well, or some would argue adds extra pressure depending on which way you look at it. And now they have ring console, and now they can move from the wall to this northern side of the circle. Now the only team they really need to be concerned about is Bleed. Up towards Zeus, they also have a ring console, so they're going to be moving fast. But if there is a possibility for Bleed to get past Gaming Gladiators, they'll probably take it. There's also a chance that maybe GG hold up Bleed here and take the fight.
Quite interesting to see where GG choose to play here, actually. They're going to drop down and do a little bit of scouting, understandably so. Are they going to play the egg buildings in front of you? Are they going to look to see if the armory is open, which is always a little bit of a risky hold? Or do they think they've got the timing to get one of the more established buildings where actually they're going to find out that Furia will be inside of? VK Gaming also flying in as well, and you can see that it is probably going to be a case of them playing those egg buildings towards the back as the one thing that is available for them. NRG, though, having a little bit of a conversation, shall we say, on their way towards zone at the moment. It's Complexity who will be on the other side of this.
It's not a one-on-one conversation either. There is someone eavesdropping, and it's SSG. As NRG run from Complexity, they will be running past SSG as well. But of course, the Dark Veil is going to help give at least a minimal amount of cover from that one side. And now they just need to keep going, and I think they should have got past SSG here as Reptar just about survives.
Now you know it's Complexity. The charge rifle. Always a good indication that Monsoon isn't too far away. Zainu's going to find out the Complexity here as well, as a nice shot is going to be stinging but not tearing away at the flesh of the fuse. And SSG now deciding that they're going to continue on their rotate towards the north instead. So NRG safe for now. Everybody has escaped the clutches of Complexity. As we now head towards a couple of teams who are a little bit closer together. It's going to be ExoClan and Noctum. And speaking of Noctum, it's going to be Fuda who gets the knock on them.
Fuda knocks him, but now, it does take a lot of damage. Just needs a little bit of help here, but was just in the middle of nowhere.
Swinny's going to set the EMP in, but now it becomes a 2v2, or it might even become a 3v2 if they can stick this res in time. Players trying to take the high ground, but they do manage to stick that res. But so all of a sudden, after getting the first knock, Fuda went in a little bit too aggressively there. Swinny's going to even it up once more from a distance. And it looks like they will be able to get the banner and get away. And now Noctum are going to find the VKG behind them. Remix powers. Unfortunately, he's going to have a lot of time here to think about what went wrong in that fight.
So Noctum, who were in second place, who are in second place, may just be about to be eliminated as they will go down in last place here on Storm Point. And that will open up the leaderboard yet again as VK Gaming arrive from behind here. But that will and should allow ExoClan to get back up to a full 3. Let's just talk about it. Slayers takes the height just to make sure that his teammate can crawl back so they can get that revive a little bit later.
E36 having a little bit of a fight here towards Northpad. It's going to be Team Falcons who are controlling the building at Northpad at the moment. And you can see that DNAP is going to have to pop this Phoenix kit. Lost a lot of heals, lost a lot of shields and some flesh damage done as well. So most efficient way to get that back for them. 14th overall at the moment, although only 2 games gone. A long way to go, of course. Falcons looking to maybe hit a survey beacon that is available here at Northpad, but instead haven't hit it, haven't got some ring console information as well over at the mill. They're going to be on their way a little bit closer to the zone.
Yeah, what have they got to work with? They've got a few rocks that they can play on the northern side. Alliance will be aware of them thanks to their crypto drone, but now we're getting a little bit congested up here at the northern side. Gaming Gladiators will be at the very tip. They didn't get pushed by Bleed in the end. By the way, Bleed ended up going a little bit further south and then put themselves dead center of this current area. We take a look towards Team Liquid now on their rotation. It's going to be Fnatic next to them over towards Jurassic.
Part 2 of that fight. Now we go on board with Moist. Not Moist getting some more damage. Oh my word! Moxie is a walking turret at the moment. Timmy will finish off the down. And now they're just looking for the final members. Maker's Eye eliminated, and it is the man on your screen who is not just a huge human in real life, but he is playing like an absolute animal in game.
I mean, Not Moist arrived so late to this party, so late to this zone, and probably catch Makers off guard a little bit. Maybe didn't realize there was going to be a team arriving that late, but now it means that Not Moist can move through checkpoint if they would like. They may be pushed a little bit later by NRG, but we'll check in with Complexity and SSG quickly.
This is happening just between Stormcatcher.
Am I going to have the momentum?
Do we want to rat? I don't think they're AP, you guys are now.
We need to go. No, we need to go over to the northwest.
You want to play duo? You don't want to go for banner?
Nah,
I think
they're gonna sit on it. I mean, if we can, that'd be great.
Well, just a quick check-in with Complexity there. As you can see, unfortunately for them, Kimchi has been taken down, and they don't have the banner for now either. So Complexity have kind of been shadowing the rotations of SSG. Are now going to have to wrap back and think about a different plan. Maybe just looking to rescue that banner of the crypto. A little bit more difficult when you aren't, of course, the crypto yourself.
So the zone's going to continue to pull north as expected. It's not going to be any sort of dodgy shift. Well, Not Moist again. It's going to be Timmy and Waltzy working in tandem to shut down Nocturnal here.
I mean, every time we see Not Moist at the moment, they just seem to be picking people off so comfortably, so easily. And it's NRG who are going to find out next how difficult it is to fight against this Moist team, playing in the way that they are. Guild's going to find another one, and it just feels like Not Moist They just want to kill everyone in the lobby. NRG will fall as well, and Not Moist just winning every fight without even taking damage at the moment.
I don't think it's a secret that Not Moist came into this finals as the favorites. And sure, Gaming Gladiators might have taken the plaudits so far with 2 victories. But you better believe Not Moist will be there with the conversation of potential teams to be lifting this trophy. As Monsoon, the last remaining player from Complexity, will just try and survive here. He's going to have to go all the way far east. But sadly, I think SSG are on the chase.
Yeah, SSG was already ballooning on him, and Monsoon might try to play this one slowly. Don't want to give this away too much, but it looks like he might have just evaded the attentions of SSG. Monsoon, you sneaky beaver.
The old gypsy doodle from Monsoon, but now can he get the banner of Lou and maybe get them back up to a 2? And give them a chance to at least get some placement points in this game. 17 squads remain, so no placement points earned thus far.
What a slippery pickle. Going to get that banner. He's going to have an opportunity now to get Lou back into the game. So that's one of those plays that... Oh, he's found himself a Sentinel as well.
My God. Everything's looking up for Monsoon right now. Someone is watching over him.
I was going to say, not for SSG if he gets to line up a few of those shots and maybe have a bit of a revenge tour onto them. But, of course, he's got a lot more work to do to get Lou back into the game and play this one out as a duo. Back towards the zone, though, and you can see the Furia inside of zone. Falcons have managed to work their way towards one of those donut buildings as well. GG still on the north side of it, but TSM are inside of the wall itself. So GG will have some work to do a little bit later on. Fnatic, they're going to be outside the command center right now, and SSG are going to be holding inside of it.
Yeah, Fnatic actually saw SSG cross there, so they'll be well aware of their presence. They'll probably, both teams will move in different directions here, and I imagine this will amount to nothing. What is interesting on the map is that Gaming Gladiators have been able to hold all of those nut buildings that you were mentioning earlier as well. No one else has been able to take one. But TSM would be that team closest to potentially compete with them. As we look into EXO, they're a little bit further ahead of the likes of SSG and Fnatic.
Over towards the north side of things right now. And this is happening outside of the wall. Dreamfire showing a little bit of presence themselves. If they do choose to rotate through the wall, remember the TSM are inside of the building connecting where this end zone is going to be and the wall itself. The Dreamfire will be safe inside of this next zone. I don't expect them to have to do too much at this point. They're just trying to see if anyone rotates in late and clear their back. They know Fnatic are there. They also know that SSG are going to have to leave. And EXOClan have just spotted them out. Shots starting to ring in from numerous teams as SSG inside of the zone. Luckily for them, have just spotted out a member of Fnatic, but with the zone closing behind them and their health meds being chipped away, this is looking like a rough rotation for them.
Very difficult indeed, just taking so much tick damage. They will have med kits to get back up, but now it's about where you go from here, because Fnatic are going to have eyes on, and one med kit didn't quite work out.
Fnatic now looking to move up onto this. You saw the drone going out as well from Fnatic. Satsuki doing a great job to just collect information, and that's the frustration, right? If you zone wrap and someone's got a drone, they get that information, you're never going to catch them off guard. Damage coming in, Bangalore's coming in to try and stop things, but Yuka, he's looking for KP, but not going to find it as Phony. Will at least make things interesting.
We know full well Fnatic love to send it into a fight, but when Fnatic usually sends it, there is often a third party afterwards. So I'm just looking across the map. Maybe Liquid Alienware again could get involved in this one, but we remember what happened last time.
Well, SSG's still alive, but only just. Sainu's gone down as well, and this might be the end of things. Viker's got to change to that syringe to get that popped, but here comes Team Liquid. Now, remember what happened last time? Well, Liquid will also have bad memories of that when it went into that Fnatic third party, but this time it looks a little bit more comfortable. Fnatic will be eliminated, and Liquid do get their revenge.
Liquid save SSG, though, as Complexity will be respawning the entire team. Been able to get the banners, been able to get back up.
SSG.
And speaking of getting back up, SSG are also back to a 2.
How have SSG survived here?
Well, it's a lifeline from Team Liquid, isn't it? Now, these are the nut buildings that I was speaking about. GG now will be joined, so TSM have been able to force their way into the one farthest north.
So TSM moving from the wall into the egg that you can see on your screen. EXOClan are going to have to make their way towards the zone as well. And we're going to be looking at some of these chokes that approach the Trident area as extremely busy in just a few moments' time. 42 seconds until that zone starts to close as EXOClan start to move their way towards that choke we're talking about.
Well, Dreamfire have gone over the top of EXOClan here, so actually they're going to be okay It's SSG are the closest team, but we know they're going to be a team that are struggling at the moment. So Exo should be able to walk in, but it's about what they find when they reach this choke, because we've already seen VK Gaming holding this position.
VK Gaming also have the drone out, so they're going to be aware of the position the Exo clan are having to be forced to rotate into. Moist, by the way, are now approaching from the checkpoint side. Complexity. They're getting shredded on their way through the choke just to their left as well. And even though Lou is back into this game, and they do get back up to the duo, it's looking like it might be a tough rotate for them to just survive anywhere near this endgame.
Cloud9 should be able to do the final bit of damage here onto SSG. And that's going to be the cleanup crew ordered and delivered. 15 squads now remaining, so no placement points for SSG. As we go back over to the battle that's happening here, there's like 4 squads here right now.
Yeah, everyone's just trying to find a spot to play, but it's not looking comfortable for NForce 36. Waltzy again in the feed, by the way. One more player to deal with here. Zinap trying to do what he can, but it's not going to be enough. NForce 36 arrived just too late and found that the inn was occupied. Team Liquid might be going the same way as well. Jaguares will get the armor swap. But here comes that man again. Waltzy has his shields broken, but not without exchanging damage.
The human turret has entered the building, but now he's going to have a little bit of support, which he's found. You can see in the kill feed as well, Zero's just gone down. Falcons are getting pushed by Alliance here.
Jim Byrne goes down as well. House left on his own. The CEO has pulled off some miraculous things, but through the smoke, so difficult to find any way to connect with these shots. And it's looked like, or should I say, it looks like Falcons will be eliminated, and indeed they are. Another dud game for them.
But it's another big performance from another EMEA team as Alliance push themselves into the top 10. Liquid Alienware also getting a respawn down amongst all this commotion are going to get themselves back up.
Well, not Moist down to 2 here. Timmy's left on his own on the crypto. Also, you saw the Liquid Alienware somehow still alive. Still alive in this building, but it was Furia who were on the other side of this. And also, Complexity were somehow or other looking at it, but Complexity have been eliminated in the meantime, so you forget about that. But GG, number 1, back-to-back wins, now under pressure themselves.
Yes, TSM on the other side of this one. If Gaming Gladiators can win this fight, they can put themselves very close to that match point threshold.
A little bit tricky, this win coming in there. As Gaming Gladiators looking to deal with TSM. Blast looking to live up to his name, and will do indeed. TSM fall, and GG are finding this easy.
Yeah, GG now hold that entire northeast side, but Exo Clan are currently sending it on GG. Elsewhere, Cloud9 have taken maybe too much damage here, but they will have smokes just to protect themselves.
Sorcerer's gone down. It's going to be Bleed who are on the other side of this. Naughty's trying to go crazy. Newcastle Shield being a problem for him, and unfortunately not going to happen for him. C9 will be eliminated as Furia join them. Bleed Esports looking to get that rest. Here comes Team Liquid.
This is carnage, because Guild are also here as well. Liquid trying to do what they can with the Mozams. Bleed get eliminated in 8th position. But Liquid are still at 2 here. They can still fight back-to-back if they would like. Maybe they'll even have a chance to get back up to a full 3. That's Niesel doing his job as the Newcastle.
There's the res coming in. No gold knock, but it's good enough. There should be some shield swaps around to get back up to full health, or at least be able to fight. Guild up on that high ground. Alliance firing in on this fight between Guild and Team Liquid. Exo Clan and GG still exchanging fire. And look at the kill feed. It's going to be GG who take down Slayers, take down Furia, take them all down! Exo Clan eliminated and GG comes stop.
Gaming Gladiators are only 3 points away from breaking that match point threshold after 3 matches. They just need to win 1 more team fight. Just a few more placement points and they'd be up there. And they hold the entire Northeast. Their main problem is going to be Dreamfire, who can watch them from the northern side of the water. But it seems like at the moment, Gaming Gladiators don't care who challenges them.
One thing to note, by the way, while all of the fighting was happening on the south side, you might have just caught it. Timmy hit a balloon, he hit an evac and managed to overtake all the teams while the attention was taken away. And that's got Moist into a position to not only survive, but also maybe to thrive with all these other fights that are taking place. Big damage coming in from Unlucky. Now he grapples up into the height. It's Team Liquid pushing, but it's Tyler who's shutting it down alongside Unlucky.
Good use of the shield though from Unlucky. Maybe needs to go for a shield battery whilst the remaining 2 push. GG are approaching. GG are close to match point, but will they get there here?
Blast looking to do what he can. Mobile shield goes down as well. They only need a few points here. Light has decided this is not my time to fight. He's going to try and get there through placement.
Yeah, he wants to get up into that top 5, maybe even a little bit further. It's still doable via placement points here. Bangalore has the smokes, a good character to try and rat with. Alliance are taking damage, and Light could find KP
He's looking for the KP. He's firing in on this fight. Nades are gonna go. Sends one up towards the skies. It's big damage. Oh my God, Light! You've just put GG onto match point.
Gaming Gladiators will be the.
You've just put GG onto match point.
Gaming Gladiators will be the first to cross that line, and maybe Light still has a reason to do some damage here in this lobby for the remaining 3 squads.
Dreamfire versus Guild. Light still alive as well. They're trying to hunt him down here. Light, you've done your job, but can you do something miraculous? It doesn't matter. GG eliminated as Dreamfire look to put their first win on the board.
Guild have got a good position though. I like this from Guild, and they have utility and potential shield swaps.
And a Kraber. Now can you hit the shot? MT's got one as well.
Oh.
We're seeing 360 no-scopes. The drone is good practice, but now it's time to take it from the firing range to the live environment. Legacy looking to move up here. He's got the turbo on that Havoc as well. Can't quite get some damage, as the shield will be good enough from the Newcastle to stop it.
Good EMPs, and actually the Kraber shot onto that drone might have been a shot that was very important to hit as well. It didn't allow them to push up on what could have been potential damage from an EMP.
Well, like I mentioned, MT, he can hit this when he's spinning in circles. Uh-oh. Legacy looking for the off angle. Oh! If a Pathfinder had hair, it would have been removed.
I mean, trying to hide from 2 angles, from 2 Krabers is not going to be an enjoyable experience. Another EMP arrives, and maybe that will be the call for Guild to send it.
And Legacy managed to break that drone once more. The Newcastle finds those rocks are slipping, but also finds the Mastiff is good enough to get that first knock. Guild Esports cannot hold. Dreamfire will close it out. And Dreamfire step up here in Germany to win the game on Stormpoint.
Much to the crowd's delight, as Dreamfire put their names up into the top 5 in the overall standings right now. And look what it means to them.
This place is rocking.
Dreamfire fans, they travel from far, but they travel in packs. And they've always been here at ALGS. And now they have a reason to scream and to shout. But of course, we have to talk about the elephant in the room. Gaming Gladiators crossed the match point threshold and will have the ability to win this tournament from the next match onward.
And that boy Light, my goodness. The cojones on that man, right? He sees the opportunity, and sometimes Apex Legends is about sensing opportunity and taking it. A lot of people would have put themselves in that position and thought, I'm just going to try and survive. I'm just going to try and exist. I'm just going to try and get the placement points while everyone else fights. But Light saw the opportunity here, knowing they needed just 3 points in that scenario to put some damage in, to send some nades their way. And as soon as you saw those numbers pop up and you saw those kills getting confirmed, I think he's probably the most relaxed person in the building.
I mean, Gaming Gladiators, 2 wins, then getting themselves across match point, going into match 4. Now, granted, we were saying Stormpoint hasn't been as good as for them when it comes to victories. But if they could just get 1 more match, then suddenly they're going to World's Edge, where they are the most winningest team in this tournament on that map. I don't know, things are looking pretty good for Gaming Gladiators.
I mean, things are looking great for Gaming Gladiators, full stop. I think you could put them on Kings Canyon right now, and they'd probably find a way to get into the top 3 and certainly put some more points on the board. It's been an absolutely incredible performance from them so far. They have managed to cross match point in just 3 games. This might be a day where we're talking about GG. We're going to send it back to the desks to break it all down.
Oh, it's the day we're talking about GG. It just is only going to be determined if it's GG's in 4. That's what we are waiting to see. It is possible. Match point in 3 games. It's only maybe been done once regionally, and that was online, I'm pretty sure. I don't think at LAN we've ever seen this as a match point format, and it's unbelievable to witness the dominance that Gaming Gladiators have displayed, Lauren.
I mean, we talked about their consistency heading into this series, knowing that they were definitely a contender to be at the top. But this consistent in this level of a lobby on the global stage right now is absolutely unprecedented. They look untouchable right now. Hitting match point in 3, they can kind of do whatever they want. Wait for that perfect time now.
Yeah, Jamerson, it's not always what you expect when you go to match point, and some teams handle it differently, especially in this crown dynamic, but GG have risen to the occasion. It's probably helped that they were in the similar situation 3 weeks ago as well.
Yeah, I mean, you also have to say that at this point for GG, in this tournament in particular, here for ALGS playoffs for split number 2, that a large majority of this tournament, it was Moist that was shining.
It was.
GG, though, that entire time was continuing to chug along and perform so extremely well that they were just being outshone. But now the tables have been flipped.
Completely flipped as we see our match 3 results. A big notable performance from Dreamfire at the end. Without talking about Light's heroics earlier on to get to match point from GG, it was Guild and Dreamfire who made some huge movement into the final series results that I think Guild might be top 3, top 4. Dreamfire may be top 5 after that, a 21-point game. Biggest thing, too, was their fans celebrating with them as well. Liquid Alienware finally getting into the mix. Snipe down on the other side of this, though. You know, some teams not doing too well.
Yeah, I think, you know, there were 2 teams coming into this game that had 0 points. One was Dreamfire and the other was SSG. SSG was actually able to at least put a couple kills on the board, so, you know, at least that's something. They don't go into this after 3 game with no points on the board. But how much momentum did Dreamfire just gain from something like that? It really does only just take one game. And I think another team that we need to talk about a little bit is Bleed.
Yeah.
Bleed has just flown under the radar a little bit, and they're up there. They've kind of performed better and better and better every single series throughout the whole tournament, and it's exciting for me to see them because I did get a chance to play with that team a little bit before Noct came back.
Yeah.
And it's a great team. Dropped has shown a lot of just overall how talented he is and how much experience that he has, and it's exciting to see them do so well. 3rd place overall.
Juby is a shooter, man. Combining that with Noct and Drops IGLing, it's so good to see a team like Bleed shine. But the thing is, you're right, they are a little bit under the radar. And will we see some stories like that keep occurring? I have a feeling that's been, for me, a big part of what this tournament is. We're paying attention to the big dogs. We're looking at this major pop-off. But then these teams are sneaking into the conversation, Lauren. And it's showing you that anybody can actually win. That's the whole point of match point. You can actually be 3 games out, but then obviously have that final moment. Let's take a look at these final circles, Lauren. Let's start talking about game number 1.
All right, well, obviously, we kick off the day with a GG win. First match out the gate, they decided to make sure they got some points on the board. And this end zone was actually really cool. Obviously, match number 1, people are just trying to kind of feel out the lobby, see what the plan is, and also just get some points on the board. Now, Gaming Gladiators had a beautiful position here. They were the only one on this side of the zone when they had both Noctum and I believe VK Gaming across from them, debating how they were going to handle this back and forth engagement. Once Gaming Gladiators move in, what happens is Noctum, and we heard Vicky talk about this on the cast, Noctum realized that they were not about to be able to win the game, but they wanted to get those points on the board. We've talked about how important they are, and Noctum end up playing for second, going into their fight purposefully with VK and kind of helping GG get that win, but also helping themselves get those points on the board.
Having a perspective like that, you understand that there's so many good things you can do by just having the spot that forces other teams to fight for their lives, knowing they're not going to win. The cat wall also helps, and that's the thing about this legend that they're playing, not the crypto. They create space and they own that space. I love this iteration on the current meta, and Jamerson, it led to that win there. It also led to another win of theirs in match 2.
And in particular, because of their performance, being able to get that Skyhook West priority pick for themselves allows them to continue to play their play style that has been so good for them. We get a zone pulling all the way over to Climatizer this time, coming from Skyhook West. You know it's going to take a while to loot up, and so they get all the way over here with some fights along the way, and they are so extremely healthy. They've got all the utility in the world. We're seeing why a lot of people are now saying Light is one of the best IGLs here, and he proved it in this fight. Slow and methodical. That's how they take it here. He baits out the peak. He's got someone in that close corner waiting for it, and then the drop down in from Lufka. I feel like Lufka hasn't gotten enough love either. This entire squad has been firing on all cylinders.
When you talk about Lufka, you talk about moments where he was one fight away from claiming a match point finals against TSM. That one fight put him in a position to now be on match point finals yet again with this new iteration. And look at this, Dreamfire would steal the show in this final game, Snipe, and it was a great hold from them. Guild also vying for that top spot.
Yeah, I mean, this was one of those 3v3s where it's so fun to watch, and everyone's trying to figure out who's going to make that first play and that first push. I think we saw it was the opposite team had 2 Cravers at the end of the game, Guild, and they were the whole time kept trying to peek for angles, and you got to say, Dreamfire did such a good job holding them off. You had EMPs going off. Their drones were getting destroyed. They're all holding the rest. Honestly, when we were watching this from Guild side, it looked like they had the advantage the entire time. You saw the Newcastle in the end up falling off the rock right here. But this is what we're talking about. These shotgun metas is so much different than what we're used to. You know, we're not in an automatic meta anymore. We're in a Mastiff pops off, Mozambiques pop off. The other team was using Havocs and Flatlines with Kravers in the back. And if you don't get that big opening with the Kraber, then the Mastiffs right in their face. We saw how much damage they did, and they were able to get those easy picks.
It is so far removed from the meta we were just at with Havocs. You mentioned that. If you have been watching Apex Legends over these last few months, it's been unbelievable the amount of changes these players have had to adapt to. And they've done extremely well up until this point. Some teams maybe hitting their limit here. Falcons, we'll talk about that in a second, not looking great so far. But for those who are excited about what's to come, I got to tell you, today we already told you, we're telling you where champs will be. We've set up some teasers all along the week, and here's another one for you right now.
What a beast! 360 Kraber shot!
There is no way he clutches that out!
He beats them both! He's just better!
NRG with the clutchest 2v3 you will ever see!
And the question on everyone's mind is, where are we going for the Year 4 championship? I mean, my time is right. That's today. So stay tuned. You may, in the venue, want to keep your phone with you if you leave, because obviously this is information that you got to have right as it drops. So keep paying attention and hanging out with us, especially if you're watching from home. Keep a tab open, even if you got to go make a grocery run or make some food. Now, here's the deal. If you're at home, you might be watching alone, but a lot of you at home, Twisted Humanoid, I'll give a shout out to her. Her son loves Oxygen Esports. Sad they're not here, but always tweets at us as a family. People are the backbone of not only Apex Legends as an esport, but the game itself, the people who made the game. And what's maybe more important aren't the people who shine, it's the ones in the background who are doing the supporting, allowing them to take it to the next level and present us with moments and opportunities that mean the world to us. Of course, there's nothing more important than family.
I've always been super supportive. I've always believed in him. We used to game together all the time growing up.
As much as he played, I just never realized the level of gameplay. I mean, I recognized right away that he wanted this so badly.
He was all the time, you know, in front of screens, playing video games, and he's very competitive.
There was definitely a point as we got older that he just started just whipping me.
D'être avec lui, de pouvoir parler d'Apex tout le temps, et puis maintenant de pouvoir venir au LAN, c'est magnifique.
Ich bin sehr stolz auf ihn. Es ist erstmal, dass wir live das anschauen. Uns hat es gefreut, dass wir da reingekommen sind.
He does mention that I have to make my dad and my parents proud, you know? And he's proved himself.
To see him finally competing on the biggest stage in the world, it's something special.
It's the best feeling, getting to watch my little brother go out there and just kick butt and take names. And we get to sit here and watch him and cheer him on.
It makes me want to cry when I think about it. How proud we are. There are just no words.
Macht mich richtig glücklich, dass so glücklich ist vor allem. Ihn zu sehen, wie lacht, wie Freude hat, dass das macht, was ihm Spaß macht.
The best way to support him is, you know, just to be there for him when he needs you.
Wenn man immer unterstützt, gesagt, wenn er es machen will und es ein Traum ist, bitte, wir waren immer auf seiner Seite.
Es ist so schön, dass das macht. Es ist wirklich, ich bin sehr, sehr stolz auf ihn.
I think it just elevates everything. If you've got a family there or anyone just to come and support you.
Je suis fier de mon fils qui réalise ses rêves.
No matter what, like, me and the family always are going to be supporting him.
Et cette équipe, quoi, c'est vraiment une fierté, une très bonne communauté. Surtout, ils ont une très, très grande communauté. Avec beaucoup de cœur, et les fans ont beaucoup de cœur.
I think he does love it, to have that family support there. I recommend people, if they can, support your child.
Tell him I'm super proud of everything he's accomplished, all the hard work he's put in.
Just win, baby.
Ich werde ihn auch immer unterstützen. So gut wie es möglich ist.
I mean, we are incredibly proud.
I'm proud of him. What can I say?
Ich bin unglaublich stolz. Ich kann es nicht einmal in Worte fassen eigentlich. Es ist
Matafe, I love you very much. I'm very, very proud of you and all of your fans.
Shout out To all the esport family in the crowd who have always believed and supported these amazingly talented players on the stage. With their support, they're the reasons why they are able to keep it going. Your support, you have no idea what it means to these players, what it's allowed them to do to accomplish these dreams. And now, as we get set up for game number 4, Gaming Gladiators, the only team on match point eligibility.
Verhul's brother there, just win, he says. And Gaming Gladiators, they need that just one win to walk away champions in the Split 2 playoffs at Mannheim.
I was looking at the player chat and Blast said, I'm having a lot of fun. As he should, right? When he's got like 10 KP, evenly spread out damage amongst his team. It's like a 20 or so difference between themselves and Not Moist, who have 29 points. But Gaming Gladiators, they woke up this morning and they met business. Love being able to highlight what Light has done as the IGL for this team, how he's been able to coordinate this insane squad.
Now Storm Point, we're over at the wall. That's where Gaming Gladiators stage yet another fantastic game. 3 out of 3 for them. Of course, bringing up that match point eligibility. And you got to remember, this is their second pick. So getting a zone so close, one that they could just rotate, you know, just from the wall over to the oranges there to the left, super easy for them, is something that they're going to be happy about. But Vicky, they still need that win. And if there's one thing I am superstitious about in Apex, it's like, don't use your wins up too early in a match point finals. Okay?
I 100% agree. It's so crazy. I'm very superstitious in the same way because, you know, you don't want to use up all the dubs that you've already been able to acquire. But, you know, you don't have to worry about that if you're the most consistent team in this lobby, which is what Gaming Gladiators has displayed to us. And they also have the ring console over by wall. Seeing that the fact that this circle is going to be pulling up towards the north, they can absolutely benefit off of their positioning.
Two of the closest POIs at the start in Storm Point, Echo HQ and Coastal Camp. Often they're fighting over the Trident. It spawns over at Coastal Camp. There's one to the right of Echo as well, I suppose. But either way, it's Liquid Alienware and Complexity right now.
And if you could clean up some KP very early on here between both of these squads, you absolutely also want to be able to capitalize off of a counter rotate into being able to suppress T-Loss, since they are going to go for a slower rotate in comparison to Complexity. That's something we've seen from Complexity before, right? We know that they like to take these fights versus neighboring teams. While we look at Gaming Gladiators flying up from above, who've already made that rotate from wall, who found that building here closer, or rather closer to the hilltop, outside of the command center building. They're looking at the teams that will be over by Cascade Falls, where we know by this hilltop, if a circle does end up pulling more so towards the north side of Cascade, this is a better rotate for Gaming Gladiators in the end game. You just have to worry about your backs for any teams that come out of Command Center.
And we previously talked about that in the tournament and how it interacts with the current meta that we have here. Newcastle makes this spot even more playable than it was before. Because previously, you were really just playing around these blue boxes a lot, having to use them for cover. But with all the time that they're going to have to both set up their castle wall and then also regen that ultimate, Gaming Gladiators hopefully will be set up there for quite a while, if that is indeed where the ring continues to pull. Because it's centralized on Cascade Falls right now, and it feels like there are still some options on where that could swing.
Ain't true here. As we take a look at Falcons, out with that ring console scan on the fuse. Some of these teams still utilizing the crypto, even if they aren't the most experienced genome. What do you think about the squads that may not be able to find their footing on the crypto, but still force it anyways?
Yeah, well, look, I was having a chat on Twitter with Tech, one of the best cryptos in the world, or at least someone who's been a long-suffering crypto player, someone who's really admired and tried to pioneer that play style. And some of the things that he noted was that people were getting their drones broken too often, too early. But I think what the point I really liked was that the EMP pushes, they're very hard to coordinate. And sometimes, you know, you're looking for that. As we see, we got one coming in here. Might just be for a little bit of chip damage, I think. But you don't want to take too much damage before the EMP goes in, because all of a sudden, then you're just trading a bat for bat, and no one's really any better off. You need to be lurking nearby and push so that you get in both with the damage and the stun.
Yeah, but why pop the EMP if your teammates have already taken damage before the fight has even begun and you're forced to actually back away, and now you've already used up that EMP? Something to note when it comes to some of these engagements that you're going to see with these cryptos, as we look at Moist, who are also going to be coming out from Mill's side. They had that ring console survey beacon to their north, so that way they could get some extra Evo shield charge. And they even got that trident, so that way they can go for a quick rotate, perhaps even through checkpoint, where we just saw Alliance earlier. Since this circle is going through Cascade, there's those limited building space that you could share, as you see some teams already trying to see if they could take height, or are they going to be forced to play off that low ground. Dreamfire, a bit of miscommunication here, has now granted out to get that free knock.
And that's so rough, because it's their Newcastle player as well. If the Newcastle player was still up, they might be able to drag the teammate to safety with that retrieve the wounded passive. But it's not, and so Pete actually goes down. A nice pickup for Falcons.
You know who's giving him a haircut? That charge rifle in the distance. I always assume it's going to be Complexity, who are probably to their south, but they still were able to get that early KP. Very necessary with Dreamfire forced to play this out as a duo inside this building here, too. While the fighting has not stopped, all the way over to the south side of Storm Point, on the edge of the zone, is this fight happening by Echo HQ. It's like Liquid can't catch a break. If it wasn't Complexity, now it is Fnatic, who had rotated all the way around through here, too.
Yeah, Complexity have made their way well inside the ring, but Fnatic popping over from Barometer have decided to compound Liquid's woes over here at Echo HQ. They're trying to get away. Fnatic on the chase, just like Falcons are for the rest of the Dreamfire squad.
I like the call to overextend and actually find the duel that was left for Dreamfire here, because they knew that there was that Moby that's over by that top of the hilltop that they could have utilized even if they felt the pressure from Complexity, but that's still 2 extra KP and an entire squad wipe for Falcons, as they desperately need to start racking up more points.
Yeah, I do wonder if they were trying to go down to the respawn beacon and Falcons chase them out, but here we go, the EMP engage that we talked about, plus the Mozams means this is very much going Fnatic's way.
My goodness, Yuka is dancing like he's in the Matrix. He takes out Liquid Alienware. Nice display of movement from Yuka. Also the way he was able to pace out those shots in between, even with the Mozam and before swapping over to the Nemesis. But that is Fnatic, who has been trying to take that fight, now completing it, and still being very slow on that rotate from the south side.
Maybe they need those points just to tick them up a few points on the leaderboard here, Vicky, because look at where Gaming Gladiators are, the team that we will continue to keep our eyes on, the one team on match point currently. And they've got a nice little spot up that hill. Still sitting at the spiders where we saw, but as we mentioned earlier, the question really was, where is the ring going? And as it shifts up the hill, it gets better and better for GG. They have to worry about their back with Bleed Esports, but that's a little further down the road.
We'll take a look at that team and continuously keep track of where they stand in that next zone, while Not Moist forced their way over from the south side after taking that fight versus Complexity. They've taken out Monsoon and Walty again on another level, while TSM see the mother load by the spiders, and they've pressured out Alliance, leaving only Unlucky alive. Huge nade earlier from Verholz to start that engagement.
Has to pull all the way out into the zone. Says, hey, you're gonna have to waste some meds if you want to chase me. I'll try and get through the other choke back through checkpoint. Not Moist also trying to grab some of those kills as we saw before. TSM, they were mentioning how good they were at their EMP pushes, actually, when I was chatting to Verhulst on the way in today. He said, Waltzy is so good at finding these little assassin positions where he lies in wait, the other team doesn't know he's there, and he will immediately swing upon Timmy popping that EMP.
That's great communication, too, from Waltzy. It's about leading not only with that info from Timmy, but also the space that he's built whenever he gets those initial knocks, being that entry fragger for the rest of his team. So you see Verhulst getting that finishing blow onto Hawkins in the ring, while still that one member of Alliance is alive as he's forced to wrap around. TSM, we're looking for him, as you could also take a look at Command Center. And it's not just Makers, by the way, that are inside of this. It's going to be Bleed Esports waiting on the outskirts of Command Center, Space Station, a team that had started off struggling with double bagel points on that south side of Command Center. So we're able to now pick up a little bit of points this time around, but they could keep squads that do opt to rotate from the south side of Command Center.
Because there's a couple inside right now, you know, Bleed, Makers, SSG. And depending on how they decide to work through Command Center, do they want to go south or do they want to go out west towards Gaming Gladiators? There's a couple of options and they probably won't have all of the ring information they would like to have right now in order to do that. Alliance get the double respawn back in, just like Kimchi did for Complexity not too long ago down near Cedo Station. We have had an uptick in respawns in this entire land just because of how prominent crypto is and being able to throw that drone in.
And also being able to have a Newcastle, so that way if you have to craft those banners, you have the opportunity with that support legend. See Falcons, Kraber in Zero's hands, having to make it work. We know, very consistent at times with that Kraber, but trying to see an angle. Doesn't like his position. I do know now that with the biz resetting, they also are going to be able to have that assault bin to get some extra Evo shield.
A tiny bit of extra Evo, but oh my lord,
everything.
The attachments.
You get a gold, you get a gold, everyone gets a gold.
Hammer points for the whole team. But I have to wonder, you know, what's in Zero's mind right now? How is he thinking about the Kraber shots that could have cost them EWC? Or is he thinking about the Kraber shots that won them so many other important points and finals throughout his history in ALGS?
Listen, let me tell you something. That was like, what, 300K or so? Like, missed shot, I'd be seething. But this is why they need to get this KP with only 9 points to their name. They have to get a little aggressive. But at a circle like this, it's hard because this circle is shifting away from Cascade Falls, more so towards the north, closer to Gaming Gladiators, where Guild is also positioned by the buildings. But this is very open for the teams that have to get out of Cascade. They will be out for the likes of Gaming Gladiators to just take free shots at them.
Okay, so now we have to start to wonder, how much do these teams know their macro, especially in a POI draft meta where it's not as predictable and as well known as it was in previous times? Because when you get to match point final, knowing the teams that are match point eligible and working out where they are likely to be in a certain set of zones becomes incredibly important. Bleed, Makers, SSG have gone south. Those two teams, a lot of this lobby's hopes could be riding on them. Can they come in and remove Gaming Gladiators from the lobby?
That would be crazy. I mean, somebody having to match Gamin's Freak at this point because the way that they've been playing. Bleed now, engaging finally as the circle closes in on Command Center, forcing this fight, backing away, not having to watch out with the Arcstar to his back. And this is what I'm talking about too. It isn't even from Cascade only. It's also from this bunker as Gaming Gladiators pepper into the fight that we just saw between Makers and Bleed.
But Makers, they're going to be coming off the back of this in no time at all. We can see, actually, they're getting the kills. Onto dropped, onto knocked.
And now with Makers, Dexter popping this medkit, Asia's is going to be able to give the suppress fire, survive that one shot. He gets the shield swap, and Gaimin don't want to overextend still, though. They're still looking for an opportunity, and too much time has passed. They've backed away.
But do they realize it's only a duo on their back right now? Because Makers can get the respawn in here. They are a threat to GG. If they're not...
I mean, the fact that they don't have a crypto is the reason why they couldn't overextend. They didn't have the information that it is just a duo because they don't have the crypto in that legend composition of theirs.
Looking forward, looking back, the zone has shifted away from GG slightly. They'll probably have to go up and fight a team like Guild at some point, but I do think there's rocks and spots that they can play up the north where no one can really contest them unless we see some evacs over the top.
By the way, non-stop fighting in Cascade. I just saw Falcons get a knock onto what looked like Timmy. Yes, it was How in the feed, and Space Station on the north side on top of the waterfall is going to be able to feel some pressure with the knuckle cluster. Zainu's got the bow check.
Okay, they're coming on from around near the waterfall, and they're on triple reds. The one thing that GG do not have going for them right now is that they're on blues. They rotated quickly and don't have much of a chance to upgrade their armor. If SSG can get down there, a team that has, what, 150 more shields than them, that could be a big deal.
Oh, and they just saw the res happen right before their eyes. At least from this fight, they could get to purples, but that would mean having to get aggressive to move forward here. As we take a look at what they want to do and see the res, let's jump into a listen-in with Gaming Gladiators.
My rule's game winning, so.
You will gain the busy as fuck. I'm low. I smoked you.
The behind is low.
Kind of nading. Look, I
use the tool. I need tools.
Okay, I'm bungled in.
Okay.
Looking back a bit.
They can peek you. Look over me.
I'm dodging inside the crate. All you, blast, all you. Coming, don't die.
I cannot. Let's stun. One. I'm ready.
Okay, yeah.
Play back, we win. Let's swing it light.
Yeah, rest me.
One shot, bank one.
Oh,
wow, you're the good one. Oh, fuck, I died. Gang is here. They're both cracked. Oh, lost to me. Finish me. Pull me. Keep hitting him.
Good on me now. Okay, good on me. Shoot on me. Now we need to slide down. Why are they fucking pushing us? Hello?
We got some more Apex Legends here in the Split 2 playoff finals. Gaming Gladiators get taken out in a very intense fight. Even though they came out on top, they were worried to their backs. They got poked out from afar.
It was almost like an infinite respawn glitch there with the Newcastle staying alive and just continuously rezzing the teammates back to half health with that gold knock. With all the bins, with all that extra loot that you get at the moment, that's one of the reasons why Newcastle is just so good in this meta.
You know, Captain America coming to save the day here when it comes to that Newcastle. I know we've all been in that position where we get frantic seeing an enemy Newcastle just res before your eyes. It's almost like a taunt. But Hero, no way! He misses the shot and then has to run into zone after getting peppered and gets knocked. It's fine. They're under some cover. Hopefully they don't get bombarded by nades. It's not like they have a Watson or a Jen. They will be able to get the res, and because they have the gold knock, they can reset even quicker.
And this is VKG that are looking at them as the zone closes. They only have to take a few steps back, and they're safe. But Falcons are coming towards them, and one Kraber shot could even things up, but not with Jen going down so early. The Devo pays dividends for QQ.
I mean, moving in the line of sight of VKG with no smoke nade to help you in the process. Right there in front of VKG now as they're playing around the Newcastle wall, but they were also pinched here. If you try to move from that position, not only are VKG looking at you, but you have to worry about TSM, who are also playing off the southwest side. TSM, clean up what is left of Falcons. Going into the zone now, Energy get eliminated in 5th. We have Guild, TSM, Space Station, and VK Gaming alive in this game 4.
Guild kind of farming right now, and they've got a good spot on the high ground. They've got the building for cover. They are also in 3rd position overall right now, poised to take over, not moist. You got to remember, after they just had this roster swap, MT and Waltzy no longer together.
Oh, VKG! Space Station get eliminated. They're still playing nicely off of this Newcastle wall. The Thermite pressures them out just a little bit, but no one is going to push out of their position. Our last 3 squads now.
TSM just behind them. None of these squads anywhere near making match point. Gaming Gladiators still very much firmly in the lead, but Guild and TSM starting to do some work to catch up.
The crowd chanting here, chanting for their favorite teams as Guild have high ground. TSM looking to see what plays can be done. Remember, TSM do not have a Watson, and you still have to worry about at least one other Bangalore from Guild.
I mean, this final circle, it's disgusting for Guild. It finishes just below the high ground that they control. Everyone has to walk up to them. It might actually be better off, honestly, to get under them early so that they have to expose themselves to peek over and hit them. But most likely, VKG and TSM will be getting into it and playing for second.
It was riskier for VKG because they were going to be forced to rotate into the line of sight of TSM. The EMP rings out, but VKG found a little corner to play off of. They have set up the Watson Gen 2. TSM now jumping into the line of sight of Guild, finding some space to be able to play safely off that low ground that you mentioned. Redspo with the knock, by the way, too, with the Kraber. He got a huge knock, but they can't fully engage on it just yet.
That's insane that they got the reset there for VKG. Now they move up a little bit further, taking away some of that high ground from Guild that we talked about. They're playing from the roof, but sooner rather than later, they'll have to drop.
You know, Legacy in the comms was like, it's safe on me, it's safe on me. He was able to
getting
reset.
inside?
TSM got inside for free. Are you serious? I mean, they had to, right? Guild felt so pressured, and they had to reset on top of that.
It's just such a smart call, though. Zap has been doing so well after the first day here for TSM. Verhulst this morning saying he's been playing almost perfectly.
Lots of confidence within the new IGL for TSM. The props for Verhulst with the circle starts closing in as they're stuck in the corner.
The way VKG have set up the fences down the bottom now means you're almost certainly going to fall into their web as you come off the high ground. MT tries to pop the EMP.
No way! The EMP timing slowed down TSM so much. It took a lot of circle damage, but it's fine. They still have a sliver of this corner to play off of, but I don't believe they're going to be able to fully reset. But for Guild now, jump down, and they're able. TSM runs though! Oh my god! That Kraber shot was huge, but Guild cannot clutch at VK Gaming! Walk up for free!
BK Gaming. Only one of them with any LAN experience before playing at the Split 1 playoffs. And they look like they've been here their whole lives. 20 points for VKG that they pick up there. The one thing that's been consistent across these first 4 games is no one really going nuclear, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was 8 kills there for VKG, and they pick up 20 points in total. But the only reason the Gaming Gladiators are on top right now is their incredible consistency.
Look at the VKG fans in the crowd, standing up, going wild. And that's off of their rotate from Cedo. So they were honestly right behind Guild when it came to going into that next zone. We saw them holding that slight hilltop, looking at the teams that had to come out of Cascade Falls right behind that Newcastle wall all set up. But honestly, a little thank you to Guild. After they dropped down, they were forced to engage with TSM that were in that corner. Reps looked like he got a hit fire shot on the Kraber. We weren't watching his point of view, but you saw it in the feed. And then after that, we already knew that TSM was so in low. So VKG just had to walk up and clean up whatever was left from that fight.
It seemed like TSM were done for. I mean, they got the double EMP. You saw VKG pop theirs first. MT, his drone's going to get destroyed, so he has to use his immediately. The drone dies, sure, but the EMP still goes off. That means a minus 100 shields for everyone on TSM. But the VKG fans, we just saw them pop off. I mean, we've been talking about Exo's fans, Navi's fans, everyone else throughout this weekend, but there's been a little sleeper cell over here just waiting for their team to give them something to cheer about, and they've done just that, moving up into second place overall as well.
And off of that last game of Stormpoint 2, because we are going to make that transition onto World's Edge, where we saw Gaming Gladiators pop off and go nuclear. With that game done and dusted, though, we are going to be heading over to a break. On the other side, we'll see you for game number 5.
Beaver, the official controller partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
official PC and monitor of the Apex Legends Global Series.
放了个烽火台，我拿网了。OK OK。我这可能也得空一点，我这可能也得空一个。他们可能滑这，你懂吗？好。我炸了，我的炸。好炸，好炸，好炸，好炸。好好好。他无人机炸不出来，他无人机炸不出来。他炸出来了，没事。先补，先补，先补，不急不急。我没跳的，他们跳的。别露给他们看啊！我们尽量保护，我们尽量保护，可以吗？跳了，跳了要。保护，保护。我亮，我亮，我亮导引，我亮导引。往上走，别打，别打，别打，别打。
Herman Miller Gaming is the official chair partner of the ALGS. Today's competitors are sitting in a Herman Miller Gaming and body chairs, which come in 4 unique colorways. Our coaches are sitting in the Phantom Gaming chair with 7 unique colorways, and you could try one out at the free play area located on the concourse. To learn which chair best fits you, go to hermanmiller.com/gaming. Pretty comfy there after taking that dub, but with TSM fighting to get second place there. They knew with their positioning, and even after that EMP, there was not much that they could do. But that was fantastic in the sense of they not only got second place, what they were vying for, but Guild getting 3rd place, even when they had to jump off of that high ground on top of that building here. As we see match 4 results, VK Gaming, they win with AKP Space Station going a little crazy silently after they were trying to gatekeep the teams that had to come out of the command center southern side.
Yeah, definitely a couple teams changing their fortunes in this game. VK go 8 spots, Fnatic 5 spots, Space Station 8 spots, Team Falcons 5 spots, finally getting into the conversation. And it was Gaming Gladiators that got so close to closing it out in the shortest land finals ever there. It was a decent spot for them, but
can't have none of that. We can't have none of that, Genome. You know why? Because I want some more good Apex Legends, especially with how hyped this crowd is. There is still, though, a very big gap between Gaming Gladiators and VK Gaming after they took that win. But then you look at VK Gaming all the way down to even not moist, and the gap is so small for these teams.
But the gap between them and grabbing match point eligibility still kind of there, Vicky. I mean, they need probably a win or at least a big bag of kills to bridge that and get, 14 plus points here. So it's either GG closing it out, or we've actually, I would say we probably need 2 or 3 games for any of the other teams to start playing a part in the end of this land.
I hadn't thought game 8 is where we're going to be able to call the winner. What about you?
I mean, I said 10 at the start of the day, but is that still going on?
Love this flyby as Gaming Gladiators, the only team in white, the only team currently sitting at match point. They need a dub, and let us not forget, for our first 2 games of the day, they won both times on World's Edge as we make our way back to the streets that we all know and love. World's Edge here. VK Gaming, your winners of our previous game on Stone Point as we get this nice flyby over by Epi.
Look, I know over on the Apex South broadcast, we definitely highlighted VK Gaming a few times throughout our regular split and throughout this year, Vicky, but to be this much of a threat, I don't think there were many people counting on that. But VK, they're out here to show everyone there's something special, there's something different. And after winning that last game, propelling themselves into the 2nd spot, now have to make their way to the west side of the map. All of a sudden, a circle that looks eerily familiar.
It does, and a familiar zone that we know and highlighted before when we saw it for game number 1 that could benefit TSM.
Hey, just remind me, if it is the same circle as last time, who won this one, Vicky?
Gaming Gladiators.
Oh, okay.
Which land over by SkyWest/Trials. They're going to probably go for a similar rotate if they hold that northern choke south of Countdown. Could be lights out. Although I will say, though, this circle could shift slightly over to the south side. We're going to have to wait and see because TSM splitting that loot over by Mirage and Lava Fisher. They'll get information at the ring console over by Mirage. Again, it's getting a little hint of deja vu because Complexity, instead of wrapping, though, around to the south side of that big rock, exiting out of staging, they're actually opting to go from the north side, holding by the rails.
And you remember there were a couple of these what-if moments last time where teams could have taken those positions away from Gaming Gladiators. Bleed was one of them, the other team landing in Skyhook. And you have to wonder whether teams will look for Gaming Gladiators if they try to hold up a similar position around the bin south of Countdown.
A lot of open cover, but you also at least still have the rocks. Depending if you want to hold that high ground when you exit out of landslide, where Space Station are going to thrive. Seeing that they have also a beacon that they take their time to scan while everyone still is in the process of rotating, making their own moves. But we've already seen Furia holding on that south side of staging, exiting out of thermal station because they have a ring console there, so they went for a quick rotate. Gaming Gladiators, all the focus on this team as they're going to be able to get looted up before rotating through Countdown side where there's another ring console waiting for them.
Yeah, because they didn't get the ring console in Skyhook this time. So if GG wanted to make the fast rotate, which seems like that would suit their plan as the only team on match point, they couldn't quite do it. They have to look for another one first, and the fact that Countdown is the closest one means, you know, that's got to be the path. They don't go through Lava Fissure. They do have to go there to get that info.
He's Space Station already by landslide. Complexity perhaps in the back with a charge rifle, wondering, seeing how so many other teams are opting to rotate from the eastern side of this landslide zone. See, Gaming Gladiators, we are going to still stay on them, and they are going to keep looting. A lot of these teams not trying to fully engage just yet. Again, so close for the overall series thus far.
I mean, it's the negative rotate right now for Gaming Gladiators. Do they have that vault key? Is that why they're going back towards Skyhook?
Or it could be to get some extra points, because there was a ring console over by the far east side, but didn't contest early on because Bleed Esports likes to linger, and they've already rotated by this timing. Even if they do have that vault ring, though, or rather that vault key, that would be amazing for them because they'll get extra loot and still play into their strengths, into slowly rotating and playing by the edge. The chance now as the crowd gets a little crazy and Complexity up on top of the tracks that we saw teams play off of earlier before in game 1.
It feels like there's at least a few teams who think this is going to be the same circle, and so they take up similar positions in the crow's nest here to get a peek on out at whoever else is around them. You can see GG going through the tunnel. It's going to be a very different game for them. So they did have the loot key, the vault key, I guess, to get the loot. And it's going to be a very different game, Vicky, because last time they were playing for Godspot, playing for that position that they're just going to lock down. This time, they have to be the Warlords in the lobby. They have to be the Gladiators if they want to push through and find a position that will take them all the way to that #1 spot and the trophy.
Living up to their name, and look who's right behind them. It is not Moist. Again, maybe trying to prioritize this rotate, since you can see in the mini-map there is also a server beacon right there getting information while trailing right behind Gaming Gladiators, who may be coming up in a sandwich situation because guess who's waiting for them up this hill in Countdown? It is Bleed, and Lefka knows. He takes some shots with the Nemesis, but they still have to keep their wits about at their six, knowing that not Moist were trailing right behind.
A shark in the water here. Not Moist said they're not scared of a single other team in this lobby, and they've proved it throughout the entire LAN. Doesn't matter how good GG are playing, I bet you Not Moist will back themselves against his team in a 3v3. But will it be an isolated fight? You've got NRG over to the right of your screen. You've got Bleed as well. A couple of teams thinking, hey, is this a countdown circle, or are they all just waiting to try and get access to that ring console? Have they been, you know, maybe debated into thinking it was a countdown zone because there's so many teams in the area? It's one of those weird situations sometimes where you get false information and you make inferences that are incorrect by seeing too many teams in another area.
Oh my, look at the circle here too. Look at where it's pulling. It looks identical actually, yeah, to that first game. But being able to see that there's way more teams waiting for Gaming Gladiators, I'm pretty sure Not Moist knew that that was Gaming, and that's why they were chasing behind him, knowing that they take a slower rotate right through Skyhook too, chasing right behind them, forcing out the Newcastle wall. You saw Blast had already put up the catwall earlier, the EMP to slow him down, but they still get a little bit of safety. Moist want to keep this going. They want to get aggressive, but after that Newcastle wall was put up, there's another team taking shots at them. We know that NRG did have height on the southern building of Countdown. They were the ones that I think with the triple take were shooting at Gaming earlier.
It was a life-saving Dark Veil by Blast there that gets them back up into the safety of this room where their Catalyst can reinforce the doors. You saw Moist throwing out the EMP to try and grab them. The rest of the lobby would have cheered. Maybe even our crowd would have cheered. Knowing that that would lock in, of course, yet another game of match point finals. But GG survived. They're too wily, too wary of that attack.
And Not Moist now have wrapped around from the north side of Countdown after everybody saw that this circle was continuously shifting over to the south side. Bleed have given up that northern building in Countdown. So this allows Not Moist to wrap around, take this spot for free, and we're also able to still put some shots onto GG, but still no opening available for them to engage on. Even with the crypto and them having the EMP, waiting to see if they'll have another opportunity, as everyone will be forced to move soon in the next 20 seconds.
NRG won't be forced to move, and they're the team ahead of both Gaming Gladiators and Not Moist. They're not ahead of anybody on the scoreboard, unfortunately. Dead last with 20th spot at the moment, which is a shame because they really did well in the POI draft, in my opinion.
Been a difficult time here for NRG. And Bleed also haven't moved away from Countdown. Even when they had that ring console in front of them, it's definitely very difficult to even try to take that when you have NRG looking at you with snipers. Gaming Gladiators now just taking a roundabout rotate, looking at VK Gaming, who wanted to see if they can move into Countdown themselves, but still having to be careful of Not Moist. Again, they're mirroring them constantly.
If Not Moist have worked out that this is Gaming Gladiators, then yeah, I agree. The mirroring is exceptional, and they really are doing the rest of the lobby a service here. As you said, it's a roundabout rotation though for GG. So will they go all the way around through Lava Fissure and then continue to go south from there? Too many teams in Countdown. A little too hard to push through without, you know, taking a big risk, and risks are not what Gaming Gladiators want right now.
At least they'll have a survey beacon here that they can scan at the very least with Lava Fissure and this rotate. They'll be able to note where other teams are within the vicinity, waiting for them on their approach, while seeing the teams waiting by landsliding. Space Station looking at Makers, who are so low. Huge nade inside the truck. They can't fully engage though. Alliance are waiting on the other side, and they'll easily third party this, but they're not the only ones, because then behind Alliance, the fourth party waits. It is also Not Moist, who are looking at VK Gaming, coming out of the tunnel side, exiting out of Skyhook.
Still Moist lurking around, just waiting to be a part of something. We saw Gildan Moist get into this situation over at Landslide in the last game, or sorry, the last time we had this circle in game one. And similarly, we've got another couple of teams locked in with it here. And it's really tough because you can play on that platform and it's great, but as soon as you want to leave, all of those other teams are going to take that opportunity.
Was that the zipline put down by Alliance, actually right behind Moist, so that way they can get closer and now completely suppress them? They have the advantage, and they've also committed here.
Oh, Alliance are just going straight for this. Makers get it taken out in the meantime, and Alliance have not taken much damage at all on the entry here.
You let it blast between the zipline and EMP. Alliance take out Not Moist in 19. Talk about an amazing call of repositioning from Alliance to also find even more kills in their pocket. They had gotten one knock, I believe it was from Unlucky, onto one of the members of Maker inside the truck, and then completely diverted his attention when they noticed Not Moist.
Now we have to get a look at the circle at some point here, Vicky, because it's very different. We do not have the same one as last time. Guild are set up where GG were, but they'll be a little bit sad to find out it actually goes down towards Mirage Voyage.
And with TSM having the POI advantage, we know that they split up between Lava Fisher and Mirage, and they were up on top from the very beginning.
And I think GG have just used their drone here. Oh, sorry, not their drone, of course. That was VKG Gaming from the north. But there was the survey beacon, as we mentioned. And if they could have got that information, it would have been so helpful for them going further south. Because if we get a ring that a couple of teams don't expect, then all of a sudden GG could just find their way straight into a great spot. As it is, it looks like they might even be playing for points, looking behind them towards the zone.
Oh no, but with VK, you saw him scratching his eyes. Let's jump into a listen with VK as NRG are peppering from above.
OK OK， 血要够吗？血要够吗？来我血要呗。
血要不够，血要不够，血要不够。
好妈好烦。我身上有10个小血包，没用。
你操，真进不了了，走哪都不行，不行。
我哋打 A 出。
沒3塔，有個3塔好了。
睇邊嘅後果就係你。
Very, very tough for VK Gaming there. Unfortunately, they'll go down in 18th, which doesn't help their chances. Still in second spot at the moment. Let's see if any of the other teams just blow them. Guild, TSM can get above. Not Moist, of course, also out on 32.
See, Unlucky trying to give suppressed fire even though he's hitting that Newcastle barrier just in case to prevent them from trying to overextend because Alliance don't have that Newcastle. They don't have that makeshift knockdown shield barrier while GG on their rotate. Nice catwall once again from Blast. Allows them to get on top of this building, but they will have to start moving close to less than a minute. And it was E36 who are on the south side of Lava Fisher, but they're not the only ones here too. There is 4 to 5 other teams that will be rotating from the north side.
Blast does pick up the Dark Veil again and again, saving his team from almost certain doom. And you can see how much they're investing into that ultimate right now, popping multiple ult excels to try and enable their next rotation south. So many teams. There's teams on top of Mirage Voyage. There's teams underneath it. And Enterforce 36 are also waiting in the building ahead of them. So GG have got a very tough path here to make this next zone. I don't know if they can do it.
I'm getting deja vu seeing Bleed in this fight out here too with Guild. Also recreating a bit of a memory here from game number 1. Bleed get eliminated in 17th. The space station had sandwiched them from the other side, and Guild recognizing that back away. Back towards the rocks where NRG were playing from the north side of that building area. But playing off of the Watson fences, trying to ping and seeing where that team is to their right. They call it an evac tower, and they're not the only ones. GG also looking to see if they can make a move.
It's the evac for GG, it's the evac for Guild as well. I like the way Guild were playing that, looking for a few kills there before they make their evacuation route.
Can we talk about the fact it is like 3 different squads up in the air, finding a spot, and Gaming Gladiators get on this high ground on top of Mirage. Oh, TSM get jumped on immediately, and they get taken out. It was a plethora of different teams that were shooting at them. It was Team Liquid, it was Guild, and now how? Blasting away at Space Station, Guild get eliminated.
Guild don't make it through, but GG somehow do. Ultimate height, I guess that's what you would call this. Right on the top, but there's so many other teams that they have to unfortunately be part of this party with NRG, one of the ones up the top.
It's the fact that NRG and GG, who had came up from the evac tower to find the high ground on top of Mirage, late now into this rotate. Dreamfire get eliminated. All the action happening below their feet. This could be an amazing opportunity for GG. They have just evicted NRG from here. C9 get eliminated as we jump into a listen-in with Gaming Gladiators.
On me. I'm coming. Coming, chill.
I have the bot.
Coming. Keep behind, below me.
Right.
I see you.
I think someone just climbed on me.
Ultak nades on me. I'm popping.
Yeah, take nades. 3 flags.
I need heavy.
Just loot.
I'm
looking for kills.
Don't below me.
I'm looking for...
Got almost. Oh, yes. Oh.
Mac India
都下次有俾人抽到俾啲嘢嘅樹上，我打一個垂直。
No.
Never mind.
I need heavy. I really need heavy.
Okay, look.
I can't find any. I'm actually from guns. I'm checking.
Yes, time to look.
但係都
doing.
幾俾人
Look
俾壓
here,
力。
free kills. My ping is free kills.
Okay.
It's literally free.
喺度向前望啦，呢個咁抽唔到啊！
Frantic comms communicating that they need some extra ammo. They have been fighting and they've been rotating this entire time. But this could be a game-winning moment for GG. This next circle still is part of Mirage as they're the only teams uncontested on the high ground.
Everyone else down the bottom is so preoccupied with each other. No one's going to be looking up at Gaming Gladiators. This is an incredible opportunity for them to win here in match 5.
And Alliance looking to clean up. Even Team Liquid, who is so low now, forced to get through the other side of this catwalk, while Alliance are looking at them. They lose out on one because GG, it is just free firing on everybody in their line of sight from down below.
Team Liquid are down to 1, Alliance down to 2. NRG, who they evicted, are playing underneath them right now and probably have the best chance to make this go another.
Could this be it? Did somebody tell Gaming Gladiators that this was a speed run? Because right now, they are looking to be your winners. They still have height. This is game 5, and it is crazy to see the position that they're sitting in right now. There is only 3 squads left, and Energy, by the way, are still underneath them.
Alliance do get the res, though, so they're back up to 3. It was such a patient, incredible rotation by GG to win this high ground spot. And now it's 70 points, almost doubling the rest of the lobby. They look for the win.
It would be crazy moment if Alliance make moves with a zip line. We're gonna have to see, but even if they try, they would be in the line of sight of NRG from right down below Gaming Gladiators. It all comes down to this in the next 10 seconds. Our last 3 squads, Gaming Gladiators, Alliance, and NRG.
Alliance hide behind the wall. A Kraber in the hands of Hackers. It's stopped teams winning tournaments before. So much responsibility in this man's hands. EMP is ready to go. The drone not risking it until now.
Before the storm, the Newcastle though! Gaming Gladiators need to finish this fight quickly. They push in with the Newcastle wall. That is the green light for NRG to come up behind them for free. Gaming Gladiators didn't know. With NRG coming up behind them, that is a lackluster information from not having a crypto drone.
Blast gets the wall off, but Lufka is not going to be able to get the res onto Lights. He gets finished. Alliance go up against NRG. I don't think GG can pull this back.
They didn't have to jump that early. Now that is Alliance who have taken the height. NRG stuck in between both squads. Are you kidding me? Gaming Gladiators, they originally have height and now have swapped places, but it's still doable. Blast, Lufka, only up to Lufka. He's the only one left to keep the dreams alive. And we're going to more Apex. Gaming Gladiators get eliminated.
Alliance have had a taste of victory recently, and they want another shot at it. So they take out NRG and win match 5.
Hey, Allies. Let's go match 5.
Until that final 3. GG looks phenomenally good on top of Mirage.
I'm very happy for Alliance, but I'm sorry. I am so cursed. It is never gonna happen. I'm never gonna have the moment to celebrate with the team. Or maybe never say never. Because Alliance...
We're only in match 5, Vicky.
Yeah,
there could be plenty of Apex left today.
Can't believe Gaming Gladiators rotated so early with the Newcastle wall. They set themselves up to get pinched the moment they committed to it, but it is even better news for Alliance because now they are at 44 points.
I mean, so often we see those teams make the last-minute plays, though, where the zone forces them out. Perhaps the other two teams wouldn't have been expecting it that early. GG, I guess my question is, were they going to actually commit to that fight, or were they trying to carve out a space for themselves in the graveyard and then force the other two teams into each other?
Didn't work out because 16 KP go in favor to Alliance, 7 points away to find themselves in that 50-point match point eligibility. And that is with a complete other side rotation from World's Edge. Remember, they landed an overlook. They had to track all the way over in that direction, fight so many teams off of that fence line that is off to the side of Landslide. And it was T-Law that was right in front of them. So many other teams. I know TSM was one of them at one point, but it was the fact that they still held safely behind that fence when all the teams were forced to collapse from that north side of zone.
Congrats to NRG, though. It was a good game for them. 14 points, which doesn't move them that far up the leaderboard, but all of a sudden they're amongst it. A lot of the teams on the sort of low to mid-20s, and now we can see they push even further in the rest of this tournament. Of course, with another third place, Gaming Gladiators are just getting so far ahead now. It's a little ridiculous. 70 points, and Alliance with a banger game, 28 for them, means they move the closest out of anybody else to match point. 44 right now.
Getting a little closer here to that finish line on match point. Guild right behind them, though, with 37. Like you mentioned, Dino, it's getting very tight for a lot of these teams as we go and wait for that next game.
And if you've ever wondered about the impact an IGL can have on an Apex team, remember, Alliance has a sub right now. They're not even playing with their full 3. And they are still, currently, as it stands, the second best team in the world.
Can we talk about the fact that Mia on top here, getting some hometown power? This is beautiful to see within our top 2 teams. Alliance, like you mentioned, hockey's just on another level when it comes to his IGLing skills, the way he helps enabling his team. While we take a look at the action here in the SAP arena, we see Alliance take a game here, make it so close. Let's go to a break. On the other side of this, we got some more World's Edge action.
Alienware, the official PC and monitor of the Apex Legends Global Series.
I'm with you, I'm coming, I'm with you. Okay. Watch out the other team. Yeah, K the other team. Go fast. He dropped. Hold height. I got 7 bullets. Get it, please. On here. Back. Find one dead. Last guy, Anders. Yeah, commit. Kill him. I have no ammo. He's one. I need to go ammo. You're good. On high. Okay. Coming up.
Behind me. Almost cracked him. Only a armors up and loot.
It's only one guy.
Yeah, drop down.
Rest, baby. Rest.
Wait, he's behind you.
You thought we were done here at Mannheim? Well, think again. We've got more games of Apex Legends to bring your way. Match point was so close. It was so near for GG in those final moments, but it's an EMEA powerhouse of their own who snatch it out of their hands and send us into another game here.
Teams who are not yet on match point may begin to tremble though, because Onset has appeared. And if you've been watching match point finals for quite some time here at LGS, it somehow always ends up with Onset being on that call. However, it is still only Gaming Gladiators on match point. They've had two chances, two very good zones to try and win this tournament. Will they be presented with another?
Yeah, that's a good question, right? It was a great zone for them. They got great, control of Mirage in those final moments as well. But you just wonder, were the communications kind of coming between the two teams of this could be GG up on height? We need to focus them. When Lufka got that res though, I was like, wait a minute, this could happen. However, it doesn't happen, and we keep on going here. That is just history at this point, which brings us to that conversation that you kind of highlighted, is we still have only one team on match point. So GG are the only team in the lobby at the moment who can still get this done.
Well, the good news is for Gaming Gladiators, we're still on World's Edge. It's still their best map. They still have had 5 wins across the board throughout this tournament, so I'm expecting them to have a good opportunity here of still winning it. But there is going to be plenty of teams trying to take them down. And I think it was a good point what you made, right? It is 2 teams in that final circle against them who are very good, very knowledgeable, very much aware of the kill feed, and we're probably keeping tabs on who is alive. And I think they maybe had an idea of GJ still being there.
Yeah, they certainly were indeed. And now, we talk about this conversation, we talk about the chasing pack and who is close, who is almost over the line. Well, that's what it's all about, right? That trophy right there to become a champion is what everybody fights through the Pro League, fights their way through the brackets, the group stage to get to this point. And as you can see, only one team is going to be able to lift it. Dan, we are getting into the business end now. This is kind of what I feel like is the midpoint of our match point finals, where teams start to arrive and hit match point. GG were there early. It was a record-setting pace from them to hit match point. But now there's so many teams that are within striking distance who could well join them in this next game.
Let me take you back to the World Championships when Optic Gaming hit match point in just 3 matches. And where did they end up? They did not go on to win the match point finals. In fact, it's a team that you might remember quite well that went on to win it in that scenario. Will we see some of our big hitters get back into the game here in match 6, or can Gaming Gladiators close it out?
Well, match 6 is live, and we're going to jump on board with Alliance on their loop path. What a performance from them. I mean, just overall has been absolutely superb. Unlucky and Hackett picking up Tyler. Effects out at home, I'm sure, cheering his boys on. But now they find themselves just 6 points away from joining their fellow EMEA compatriots in GG on match point. What a story it's been for Alliance.
Amazing the trials and tribulations that Alliance have been through, and of course they're doing it for effect, but Tyler also doing it for himself. Not only would he be proving a point, but he'd also be putting himself on the map. Everyone would want to get Tyler on their team if Alliance want to do it themselves, but of course we know effect is worth keeping around. I'm sure if you could have 4 of them, they definitely would.
That's very, very true. Let's take a look at the zone then. Let's look where we are going.
My.
We're going down south, everyone. We are going about as south as you can possibly go. And for GG over at Trials, that looks like a long, long way away.
Even though Skyhook West has turned out to be arguably the best POI to find victories on World's Edge so far this tournament, it is arguably one of the hardest zones to get down toward. Because when you look at playable space, when you look at the areas that teams are actually going to start to position themselves here very quickly, there is going to be little room for Gaming Gladiators to work with when they arrive here.
Well, Falcons at the moment still on their loop path. You see Exo kind of already moved up. Look how quickly they have rotated over from Harvester. Really, really quick from them, and trying to scope a few players out. Maybe they realize they've got the timing on Falcons on their loop path here to try and solo someone out. But for now, it looks like Falcons have managed to regroup together. Liquid Alienware, by the way, have moved down to the platform and are kind of overlooking this. And if you're wondering if they had the timing, well, the answer is no, because Jim Burton has got the 30-30 in his hands, and he has spotted out Exoclad.
And I'm sure that Falcons actually have ring console information right now, but the arrival of ExoClan maybe tells them enough that they need to know of where they're going to... Oh, well, they do have a ring console there. They just need Hal to get onto blue. Once Hal gets onto blue, then they can get that ring console information. Of course, how are you going to get onto that?
So now it's a very slow game for Falcons. Exo overtaking them. You can see the position taken by Team Liquid, exactly what I would have expected them to do. Move down to this building, which overlooks the big crevice behind it, the canyon below it. There's a great place to output damage, not just for the teams that are rotating in from the north, but potentially towards that end game as well. We've seen finishes on the platform itself. We've seen them just on the lower side as well. So Liquid have been through a lot, I would say, during this tournament now, have a chance to make this game their own.
And you talk about teams who are very good at playing zone and holding a position when the zone comes towards them. Team Liquid is one of those that turns up and can put on a show for you. Furia, they'll have to transition a little bit further east and probably work their way through complexity if they want to find themselves in zone. You can see a beautiful aerial shot. Shout out to our observers, by the way. They've been phenomenal all tournament long. But Furia will have to pass through that choke and then challenge complexity, or they can try and go around if they would like.
Interesting zone, this one, isn't it? Because it's one of those where if you arrive late, then you're probably going to have to fight for KP on edge and then hit an evac to try and land in zone as it closes. Playing the center of this zone, if you aren't one of the first 10 teams or so to arrive, is essentially a death trap just because of the angles that can be taken against you. Furia, though, with the evac tower in, are going to find a safe spot here within launch site. So they're going to be in a pretty good spot for the long game. I imagine they will be very interested in trying to move up a little bit towards the Cloud9 position, which is just to their south. And there you can see complexity. That's the building they're going to be holding. And as we beautifully, artistically, move our way down towards Skyhook, you can see what GG are doing. They are moving through Countdown right now. They are completely on their own. But like we mentioned, the only team right here who are on match point have got quite the path to tread.
That does mean, though, that they can be very patient with their approach to this zone. They can maneuver their way around the map just to make sure they get as much Evo as possible. Hitting any beacons on their way. Well, not any beacons, it'll be any ring consoles, excuse me, with Blast on the Catalyst. And they will be biding their time. There's one in Landslide, so they can actually hit that for Zone 3 information. Just gain a little bit more Evo and send themselves up to purple. But there is still Bleed for them to worry about, because Bleed were, of course, at Skyhook East. Now, elsewhere, Fnatic currently laying down some damage here at Dome. I wonder if the zone would even pull this far. I'm thinking it will probably be a little bit further towards launch site when we get there, but this could be a big fight to win.
EMP is going to come in, which is going to slow down their push. White Armor's here for Fnatic as well. And if you get EMP'd with White Armors, it really can be a problem, as we are seeing Leica almost be taken down, but not quite taken down. However, the first knock is going to come down, and it's going to be Dreamfire who found themselves now, I believe, down to one. The grenade from Leica is good to take down Peter.
Yeah, Nocturnal also getting involved from distance, so NRG will start to approach, perhaps, and Fnatic need to be aware of that. If they're keeping an eye on the kill feed, they'll know that they didn't get that second knock, and that's probably why we're not seeing them get too aggressive here, as NRG are very close by, but far enough away that Fnatic could finish this off if they wanted to.
LG playing the outside of the dome. This rock formation, one of the most difficult places to play. Or should I say approach. Certainly not to play, but to approach if you are coming in from the south side. Really, really solid position to hold down. If we do see that shift a little bit more to the south towards the dome and the surrounding areas. So many options for you to rotate, so many rocks which have great elevation to fire down from. But Fnatic, for now, are still trying to chase down these two remaining members of Dreamfire. NRG are still there on the other side of this shell. So for Fnatic, it might be just about forcing Dreamfire into NRG and just clearing them out their way.
And Fnatic will probably want to go deeper into Dome to get the ring console that's there just in the zone as well. But because of Dreamfire being around, they were probably reluctant to actually press in. But the zone is going to continue to pull southeast, so it is good news for Fnatic. It is edging a little bit closer towards that lava. It's bad news for a lot of teams, though, in buildings. As Alliance, they might come across Dreamfire here. As NRG also in the area, there is definitely a fight that could happen.
Yeah, I mean, this is Dreamfire going to be dealt with. That's them eliminated from the lobby, and it's another point on the board here for Alliance. That gets them even closer to match point now. Step by step, inch by inch, Alliance might be the second team to hit it, and that will be two EMEA teams who will find themselves on match point. One team who's chasing a few more points in this game to get to match point is TSM. Let's jump into the comms and see what their plan is on this rotate.
I'm gonna hit the map room, okay? Yeah. Come to me.
Team in tree, team in south siphon.
We kill team tree probably.
Yep. Hit this map room here. They might, if we get that map room, they might not even see it, not know we're there.
Yeah, go for map room, we're gonna hit balloon.
After this 3 team,
they're going to launch, I see them walking towards launch right now.
Okay.
I just peek him, let's go up. We got the XP.
So currently a little bit more of a serene trip here for TSM. However, look at that feed, it's starting to light up. Multiple fights taking place, and one of them does involve Alliance, but it will not involve Hackers anymore. He's been taken down.
How frustrating could this be for Alliance within touching distance of match point? And to exit here will be so detrimental for their chances, trying to catch up with the likes of Gaming Gladiators, but there's still hope. Unlucky and Tyler, hand in hand, they've done a lot as a duo in the history of ALGS. And they have a chance still to find those extra points.
So the good thing is that Unlucky is on Pathfinder, so he can grab this banner and he can get out of there. 20 seconds till that grapple comes up again. And with the drone coming towards him as well, he's going to have to use his zipline just to create a little bit of space away. Notmost also approaching from Big Mord. So Alliance got to be careful here. They're going to try and get the respawn in the eggshell. And they will be able to. But back on board with GG. Trying to approach this fight in and around Cypher at the moment. Good shots coming in from Light here. Whilst the fence is slowing him down for a second, they're not going to push this too aggressively. Because for them, it's not so much about the points, it's all about the win.
But we did see last game, Gaming Gladiators are not scared of a fight. They're not going to avoid every contestant they could potentially have on this map. Instead, they try and put their best foot forward. They've got great shields to work with here. Two of them essentially on red, with Blast getting the extra from the controller. And they really want to take this fight, but there is other players maybe involved here.
Blast will get the wall down, which is going to allow the line of sight to be denied. He gets him away. It's beautiful use, but no! There's a flank coming in, and welcome to the party! Space Station Gaming. Lufka tries to stick the res, but he won't be able to, and GG are gone. We will have more Apex Legends coming your way.
Much to the fans' delight here in Mannheim. There's nothing like match point finals. Furia eliminated as well. They won't be able to get any closer towards that threshold right now, so our eyes turn back towards the likes of Alliance. Can they reach 50 points? Because they are back up to a full 3, and they are back on the high ground.
Great job from Unlucky on the Pathfinder. Use that grapple to get the banner, get out of dodge. And then the Crypto on the drone sends that banner over to the respawn beacon to welcome Hackis back into the game. The leader is here. And the situation now remains the same for Alliance. They will be safe inside of this next zone as well. But the pressure on a fight at the start of a series like this, 3v3, very different to the pressure of a fight when you only need 4 points.
But Alliance would, of course, been watching that kill feed. They would have seen that Gaming Gladiators were eliminated. That does take a little bit of pressure off of not just them, but everyone in the lobby. You can now put all of your brain space towards actually trying to put points on the board here. There's how it looks in the overalls. Alliance only 4 away. Guild also only 12 away, and VK Gaming in 4th place, 13. Very achievable. Now for TSM, though. Under a little bit of stress, a little bit of duress, as Verholst dodging, diving to stay alive.
The swing was big from that balcony, but Verholst just about managed to catch it at the last second. That should buy him the time to pop the battery. The only problem here for TSM is that Enderforce 36 keep putting pressure down. Liquid Alienware are doing shots from distance as well, and here come 36. They want a piece of TSM.
You've also got to be fast about this. The zone will be rapidly approaching as Verholst has gone down.
Verholst down, E36, aimbot just keeps moving forward as well, but there's a player in the corner, and now the numbers get evened up. Cino's going to try and find, knock himself, and will finish off TSM. So TSM, who are close enough to think about maybe reaching match point in this game, unfortunately will have to wait to the next.
Well, Enderforce 36 are probably going to have to take the evac tower because the zone rapidly approaching. Elsewhere, Fnatic are going to be down by this dome side. It's Bleed Esports there on the other side of this. Bleed Esports, remember, they started over towards Skyhook, and they find themselves at the far south side of this map right now. They've had a fantastic rotation.
Well, as you can see on the map overhead as well, we have pulled a little bit more south and a little bit more towards the position that we were talking about NRG held earlier on. So NRG are in a fantastic position, whereas Complexity are under a little bit of pressure. They are inside of zone and will be upon zone close as well, but they have Falcons in front of them to deal with, but no, they don't anymore. Team Falcons eliminated, and it's Koifor who gets the final knock, final elimination, final kill onto Imperial Hal.
Falcons eliminated on 20 points as well, still 30 off that match point threshold. Quite a way to go. But is anyone else going to cross it? 15 squads remain, so a couple of placement points for teams to use now as EXO will be eliminated. And also Guild in the kill feed, now finding those members of E36 that just arrived.
One team is in a really good spot here is Not Moist as well when we look at the overall zone, but before we do, we've got to turn our attention to Team Liquid, who we mentioned had the best prio to this zone, and now they are continuing to control this platform. But the thing for Team Liquid is it's now pulled away to where we mentioned the position of NRG was earlier. So Liquid tried to play for what they believed an endgame was, but the problem is, the zone, it fooled them.
And with this zone, if you are not one of the teams that is already on kind of dome side, stack side, it's going to be such a rough journey from you. But west to east is going to be treacherous as Cloud9 look to try and put some damage down here, but they've already lost one.
Cloud9 versus Complexity. Lou, he's going to find two, and Lou does a huge amount of damage in that 5-4 Complexity, but even though they want that, it all just opens the door here for Makers to move forward. Monsoon goes down, Osprey Alive is going to be here, but Lou finally will be eliminated. Complexity will go down. Makers should be able to get this res pretty comfortably, as Enter Force 36 will also fall in those final moments.
And Makers needed that opening. They needed some way of approaching this eastern side now. But they're going to have SSG ahead of them. Bleed are going to be ahead of them. NRG arguably holding them out as well. Now Fnatic, who have been down at Dome for quite a while, they can obviously move further into Dome and be safe, but they were actually forcing Bleed back. They weren't letting Bleed into Dome at all.
Well, here comes Team Liquid, and they are going to get lit up. Oh my. I mean, you've got to ask the question, did their feet even touch the ground before they were eliminated? But speaking of eliminations, speaking of teams who are desperate for points, it's Alliance. They only need 2 points here. This team fight could be it.
Tyler laying down some damage.
Unlucky gets one.
But they need a bit more.
Unlucky. Unlucky gets two.
The 50's been crossed, and Alliance will be the second team to reach match point. And with Gaming Gladiators eliminated, they will have a shot at winning next. Now, Guild Esports, they're doing damage in the Vault Tunnel.
Oh, Noctum Scan will be eliminated. It'll be Guild who win this fight, but are they able to creep their way towards zone for Jesco to be able to get a res? That's the question. One of them, the answer is no. Do they have a Moby they can use? Maybe on the outside of that tunnel. MT will be brought back to his feet as Makers will be eliminated, but the big story from the last few moments, Alliance join GG on match point. 2 Amiya teams here in Germany have a chance to close it out next game.
Can you imagine Alliance winning the most recent international LAN and then coming into the ALGS Split 2 playoffs and doing it again with a different third when the hand was forced to make a substitution? It would be unbelievable. But they've done the first job, and that is reach match point. Cross that threshold, but now can they put a victory alongside it here?
I'm renaming Unlucky to Mr. Mozambique, by the way, because he has been electric. I mean, everybody's strong with him, but he just seems to barely ever miss. The speed at which he can eliminate players in team fights has been a real standout for me. But SSG have a good amount of points so far. 8th in the overalls, but 34 isn't too far away from hitting that match point threshold as we see a res coming in as well. Bleed Esports eliminated as we see this res come in. And the res will mean that Guild Esports can now play as a 3. Let's jump into the comms and see what the next plan is.
There are 3 teams on the right side. Okay. Team behind us here, yeah? Yeah. Kills left. Yeah, we gotta kill right, and then we play for the top. Oh, they're being up. They're in. Send us. Get to them. Going back. Nice. Joy got broken, we gotta focus right.
Not gonna have a gen now. No gen.
That's fine. Full team on the right. Full team, close right. Get Ventus down there if you can.
Yeah, got it.
Send us.
Oh, yeah.
60, crack.
No,
Good crack. Good one. Really nice. Love you.
They just ran it off.
Top box.
Guild United Alliance continue to win team fights, but maybe this is just one fight too many for them. Tyler, the substitute, maybe he's going to change that though. SSG go down, Alliance will follow, but those KP, they hurt SSG more than they credit Alliance.
But now we're down to just 3 squads, Not Moist, NRG, and Fnatic. A chance to try and climb up the leaderboards a little bit more. Not Moist are 8 points off, crossing that match point threshold. They were to kill both of these teams, it is still doable. Can they be the 3rd team, or will we see a team like Fnatic, who have been down at Dome throughout the majority of this game, really take advantage of their position, but they have to push out of this eggshell, right? And there is so much focus from both Not Moist and NRG towards that direction.
Not Moist have full control of zone here. You can see it's going to be pulling right towards them, so Fnatic are probably going to be the first team to be exposed. NRG have a few rocks to play behind, and you have to wonder, Fnatic knowing this, are they going to try and play for second here and send it on to NRG? That looks like what they're trying to line up right now.
Fnatic looking towards NRG. The shield, though, will maybe make them double think this one. And second-guess themselves ever so slightly as Fnatic maybe approached onto Moist, but look at the shields on the side of Not Moist.
Oh, Timmy! He just got absolutely ripped by Nocturnal on that devotion. You have to wonder, though, is there an opportunity to push off of it? Nocturnal's trying to swing on it, and Nocturnal, he's going to find 2. Nocturnal with 3! That is a play to remember.
NRG deny Not Moist, but it will open up space for Fnatic to push out here.
Fnatic now move up through the Bangalore roll, trying to take a little bit of height over NRG. Yuka, Suzuki, it's 1 to go for Fnatic to announce themselves in our match point finals.
Well, they dropped down towards Stack. They took control of Dome, and they held it for the entire game. But it was how they were able to manipulate other teams' class. They forced Bleed away. They said, no, you're not allowed into Dome. They made it a fortress. And then that one knock, that NRG push just gave Fnatic the opening that they required to get out of those eggshells, avoid those sight lines of Not Moist. And then boy, did they capitalize as they find a victory and push themselves up to 42 points.
All the credit goes to Fnatic. Of course, the champions, but there's a moment in that endgame we need to highlight. Nocturnal, with that devotion, gets the first knock onto Timmy, follows it up and gets the second, and then all 3, if I was not mistaken, will be credited to him. He single-handedly took Moist out of that game and denied them a match point opportunity.
But of course, during that game, Alliance did cross the match point threshold, which means we have 2 teams. And there's a man from one of them, Gaming Gladiators. They've now had 3 opportunities to try and win this tournament. But now they are not alone. Alliance joined them on match point.
Fnatic, of course, with those points are going to shoot themselves up the leaderboards, and they will put themselves maybe with another good game here as we change over to Storm Point within a chance of hitting match point themselves. We're starting to get to that stage of our match point finals. Team after team is going to be joining match point players, match point teams with an opportunity to win this tournament. But for Alliance, I mean, there's a lot to talk about how they got those points, right? I mean, the res that came in, Unlucky who manages to just about get the grapple in to get away with it. But there's so much to talk about. Do you know what? We're not going to do it. We're going to send it to Des to do so because you do it better than we do.
No, not at all, guys. You do it fantastically. Onset Gaskin with another banger of a cast. Banger of a game, especially if you're an APAC North fan. I know we had some in the house as well, whether it was Dreamfire earlier on or Fnatic just now, grabbing a win as we come back after 6. Traditionally, if we were in a normal bracket of Apex, we'd be done. But this is match point, so we keep on going. Rain Day on the desk, joining the Glitter Explosion. Jamerson sniped down yet again. Jamerson, just to kick things off, scintillating ending there, but this entire thing has felt tense once Gaming Gladiators got to match point so early.
Yeah, game number 3, that's where they secured match point, and it shifted in the crowd, right? Everyone became a fan of every other team at that point. As much as you want to root on GG and Gaming Gladiators for everything that they're doing so far, you still want to see some more Apex Legends because it's been high octane, incredible aggression across all stages of the game, and it's been so much fun to watch with so much drama.
Blast on your screen from Gaming Gladiators there walking around. Lauren, that is kind of the truth of this. Everyone becomes a fan of anybody who can keep it going longer. Eventually, you might have 10, 16 teams on match point, and so you become a fan of those other 4 teams. You might, I don't even know who's on that team, but I'm rooting for them to win.
And we see it happen every single LAN. I mean, the crowd doesn't want to let Sunday end too early, so we want to see these games keep going, but you know that every single time that GG gets this close and then doesn't close it out, they start to stress a little bit more.
I love the stories we're starting to build, though, and I'm going to send it to you now, Snipe, to walk us through these final 3, because 3 versus 6, everything was at a moment of ending when Gaming Gladiators being on match point. The first round, though, doesn't go there, where VK Gaming get things started as we go to Storm Point on game 4.
Yeah, this was actually a very exciting ending. We saw GG was in a great spot, and honestly, I think if they took the initiative to take the fight on the res behind them and clear out their back, they were in a position to possibly end this tournament in 4 games, which would have been insane. But we had VK, who's holding the side of the building, and this is so good for them right here, because you have a team on top and you have a team below, which was TSM. And you know that if you just hold this, the zone is going to come pull to you, and those teams, the team on top is going to have to drop into TSM. So they saved their nades. I'm sure this was the comms, is hold your nades as long as you possibly can, and we're just going to throw them in the air. And one of my favorite things about this is Reps, I played with him, he's one of the best cravers in the game, him and Sweet together. And when he dropped down, we saw him no-scope, get a kill, and then VK just cleaned up the rest.
And the intensity of that moment was only surpassed by the intensity of this moment, Lauren. It felt like we had our own separate drama in here in this fight, as Gaming Gladiators and Alliance down each other, get picked back up. Oh, they're still alive. Wait, they're dead. No, they're alive again.
And you know, there was a lot of back and forth in the green room watching this as well. What could they have done differently? Did they Newcastle in too early on behalf of GG? From the top of Mirage was Alliance, obviously. Had they had enough time here behind this wall, they had the best safe space, energy there on the low ground, and these fights kind of got really chaotic. Reptar was actually able to stay alive for a long time for NRG, while GG was down back on the low ground trying to survive whatever they could, but Alliance just had too much positional advantage here that they were able to close this one out. And like I said, when GG gets this close to getting match point, and then the team that ends up taking them out is the next one that gets match point, they start paying attention to that stuff.
They do, and it also started the run for NRG, who have been doing quite well. Kind of a sleeper pick for a lot of people here. Hodsick, and obviously that squad, being coached by him, having to keep strong mental, strength heading into this, because that's one of the things that they can struggle in, Jamerson, but they found a way to be in the right spirits, the right mentality now. Heading into game 6, it would obviously turn a different direction. You'd see some big plays from Guild, you could see some big plays from Gaming, but you'd also see some big plays from Fnatic, who would close this one out.
Yeah, importantly, you have to note that the position that Fnatic is in right here at this moment, this was where NRG set up early on, but with the shift on over, that left space for Fnatic to be able to move in, NRG move over to the eastern side. They did have the angle on the 3rd team here on the northern side, which they were able to expertly keep out, but you saw Fnatic, they had so much utility, and I love that we were finally able to get another winner here. Surprisingly enough, after 6 games, EMEA, they have a win. APAC North, they have a win, and now APAC South have a win, or excuse me, APAC South and then APAC North have a win.
We're looking for North America to rise up to the occasion, but Snipe, as we